others to also collapse, and therefore he passed away. The only thing that is remaining is that the cause of this collapse has not been established by toxicological tests, and these are ongoing and will be made obvious in another 3 weeks. The chapter is not closed yet.
And the process of identifying and informing the families of the KDF officers who died in the plane crash in Old Tipis, Kajiado County are underway, with 10 officers being confirmed dead and 13 others injured. This is Newswire. I'm Dennis Aseto.
SpiceFM, Nyeri.
It's looking good on the Namanga route coming out through to Mombasa Road out into the city. This Friday, hopefully we'll get into a good day today. As far as traffic is concerned, that craziness that happened yesterday is not opening the morning today. Uhuru Highway opened and we still see that it will be clogged just some. There's quite some traffic that will be experienced on Mombasa Road today because certain parts of that construction continue and open up into this morning. It seems it's a dull roar this morning. Let's wait and see what happens as it opens up. But for now, looks pretty good. Talk to us through the morning. SpiceFM KE on Twitter. Text on 40127. Let's start this Friday off right.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Oko, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latif, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is The Situation Room.
It's
the
5
only way
minutes
to
after
start
6.
your day.
Lovely Friday morning. How are you doing? The second Friday of the week. And we are here for the show to close the week on a high. Good morning, Ndu.
Good morning,
How are you?
Eric.
How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
You well?
Yes.
Good morning, CT Muga.
Good morning, Eric Latif.
You well?
I am, thank you.
Good to see you.
Good to see you too, sir.
Ndu, you had a good day yesterday. Did you?
Yes, I did. What happened yesterday? Gosh,
Good
it seems
things.
so long ago. Yeah, it was all right. And here we are, voila, voila.
Voila, voila. Okay.
Yourself?
And voici.
Oh, okay. Yeah. How are you?
I'm very well. Yes.
Okay.
Nashukuru Mungu.
Mimi pia nashukuru Mungu.
Nashukuru Mungu.
Yeah.
Welcome to the show. We have quite a number of things to discuss today. So, governors have received money, and now their workers are going to receive money. The issue, though, is have county government employees not been receiving their salaries on time? Are there county workers who have gone more than a month without a salary? And what is the status of pay for county workers? We'll be speaking to doctors to understand how their doctors are faring. And also, I'd like to hear from other workers in the public service, especially at the county level. Just continuation of what we were discussing yesterday in terms of national government. Things seem to be flowing easily and smoothly, but at the county level, things seem to be different. And what does that mean? I'm looking at the shot behind me. What's that? Are those eggs? The shot behind me.
Eggs.
Those are eggs, John, right? People are having breakfast here in my absence. Okay.
Eric, thank you. Today is Friday, isn't it?
It is. I've just noticed. Hey. Oh, yeah, someone has come actually to have some breakfast. Okay. Good. So, we'll have that conversation. We'll also have a conversation about what's happening politically in the country as we conclude the week. So, we've seen yesterday The Deputy President spoke to KTN News, Sophia Wanuna, and he said several things that he has said before, but we'll be looking at, so what are these things that he's saying? Because also in the build-up to that interview throughout this week and in previous days, we have seen several people being photographed alongside the Deputy President, especially people coming from the Mount Kenya backyard, not just Mount Kenya, but Kiambu County. Politicians like the Kiambu woman rep, Gathoni wa Mushomba, who has defected from Kieleweke. She has tangatangad to Karen. So what does that?
Tangad.
Yes.
Okay.
What does all this mean? In addition to this, Mike Mbuvi-Sonko has been told, not happening. Look for another route. Or try next year. But COVID is still doing its thing. Let's hear the numbers.
Even as everybody's talking, COVID is doing its thing, that's for sure. 741 new COVID cases in the country, 24 deaths reported. Coming from the Ministry of Health yesterday, new cases were picked from a sample size of 6,955 and pushes the country's positivity rate Thursday to 10.7%. So now the positivity rate from that particular sample size, right? So we have a total of 1,059 patients currently admitted to various health facilities countrywide. 6,599 patients are under home-based care and isolation. All right, so that's what's going on there. And we still see that those numbers continue to rise. Let's see. It seems that we have a number of people that are coming together in a certain location in this country over the next couple of days into the weekend. Hopefully, everybody will be maintaining social distance. We don't know how possible that will be, but everybody's going out west, it would seem. I am hoping that the results of this will be a good safari rally and not bad in terms of infections of COVID-19.
Wow. Yes. Yes, indeed.
That is what we are looking at. World experts are telling us, and specifically the Africa CDCs, are telling us that Africa is losing the battle with COVID-19. And we can look at details of this as a story later. But what they're saying is that with the infections that we are seeing country to country on the continent, it wouldn't seem as though African countries are handling this very well, and certain things need to be done in order to then get a step ahead of the disease. This is according to the Africa CDC, so we'll share that story later. COVID-19 around the world, 180,765,742 is what we're looking at in terms of cases around the world. The day before, still at 34 million for the United States, 30 million for India, 18 million in Brazil. The top 10 countries have 90%. Top 10 countries in the world have 90% of the COVID cases globally. And Europe is bracing for a surge in the Delta variant being that which has come up from India. Now, the thing about this that has a lot of people worried is because of the fact that symptoms are a lot more severe. The onset of the disease is a shorter period of time. The window period then between exposure and infection is reduced considerably. And then there are many more symptoms that come along with it. And then even after one has healed, there are other complications that come with it from this particular variant. So Europe is bracing for a surge in this. The German Chancellor Angela Merkel has warned that Europe is on thin ice as the Delta variant of COVID spreads on the continent. Her warning has come as EU officials said the variant would account for 90% of the bloc's cases by late August. The spread could disrupt plans for lifting restrictions during the summer, which is what they plan to do, and allow people to travel over the summer months. But it's possible that this could not happen. The director of the European Centre for Disease Prevention, ECDC, said that the spread of the Delta variant showed the importance of speeding up vaccinations in Europe, as preliminary data shows that it would also infect individuals that had received only one dose of the currently available vaccines. So 2 doses offer higher protection against the Delta variant. And
it's interesting.
Hoping this will be done.
With vaccinations, you have Johnson & Johnson 1, AstraZeneca 2. The Cubans have come up with theirs.
3.
Exactly. And they're claiming 92% efficacy upon the third jab. So, something that I think started off when we heard of countries beginning to work on their own vaccines. What it tells you is that this hold that the Western world seems to think they have on this matter is going to loosen with time. Because the opportunity has presented itself.
Yep.
When getting it becomes difficult and you know it is available, then people figure, but why don't we do this or not? Why must we wait for somebody else to give it to us when it's something that we can understand and we can know what to do with? And it's being done.
Good. Well, has the WHO looked at this and said, yes, good to go?
You think the Cubans came at the WHO?
They're not waiting for the WHO to come and
You
give their
think
stamp
they're
of
going to wait
approval?
for the WHO? Did China wait for the WHO to decide whether that vaccine was viable or not? You think the Russians waited for WHO to tell them what to do with the vaccine?
Because you see, what's going to happen is that the Western countries are still going to use this as part of their weapon.
And who's going to be listening?
Right? They'll use it as part of their weapon and say, if people have not been vaccinated using these vaccines that are recognized by these organizations, by the European,
cannot travel to
then
our
you
We'll not
cannot
give you
come
the
to our
vaccine
country,
passport.
right? Or we will not allow our citizens to come to your country. Such things.
I'm sure they will. But you know something? That is exposing your naked rear. Because this story of the vaccines, the way the West have been handling it, is going to expose their intentions and the thinking behind everything that they do in ways that they had never imagined.
Yep.
And if you ask me as a layman, they've been handling it badly and they're continuing to handle it badly.
Yep. Already the Schengen visa, you don't get it if you don't have their own version of AstraZeneca.
Yes,
If you've got the Indian one, there's a way they'll tell you.
And you and you know, people who actually do this work and look at the genetic makeup or the composition of this particular vaccine, they will tell you that similarity, forget differences, similarity is in the 90x upwards percentile. Similarity. So you ask yourself, the difference is a point something percent. So what's the difference?
What are you saying?
What exactly are you saying?
What's your issue?
And by the time you're saying it is made in India, but with a brand name, surely by the time you allow someone to use your brand, it means they have met the standards that you require for that particular product.
And this is not a generic.
No, it is not.
It's 6:15. Let's take this break. Take a look at the weather. We'll be looking at the headlines shortly. Good morning. Are you online? SpiceFM KE, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. We are live streaming already. Say hello. We'll be saying hello to you shortly.
"24/7 around the world, non-stop. This is Spice FM.
Malaria husababishwa na viini ambazo husambazwa na kuumwa na mbu kutoka kwa mwathiriwa mmoja aliye na viini hivyo hadi mwingine. Unajua kwamba waweza zuia malaria na hivyo basi kuzuia maafa yanayotokana na maradhi ya malaria? Unaweza kuzuia malaria kwa kuhakikisha kila mtu katika jamii analala ndani ya neti za mbu zilizotibiwa kila siku, kila msimu. Hakikisha mazingira karibu na makao yako ni safi kwa kuondoa maji yaliyokusanyika, vyombo vya plastiki, tairi za gari, katoni na vitu vingine vyote ambavyo havitumiki haswa msimu wa mvua. Vitu hivi hutumika kama makao kuzaana kwa mbu. Wanawake wajawazito katika maeneo hatari ya malaria wanaomba kutembelea kituo cha afya kupokea dawa zilizoidhinishwa za kuwazuia dhidi ya malaria pamoja na mtoto aliye tumboni. Pamoja tuendelee kuangamiza malaria. Ujumbe huu umeletwa kwako na Wizara ya Afya na UNICEF.
The COVID-19 pandemic has reminded us that knowing how to spot fake news can be the difference between life and death. The spread of fake news has national implications too. Is your governor really delivering on his campaign promises? Or does the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission have a watertight case against him? It all boils down to the news you consume. That's why Spice FM and its partners have created the Fighting Fakes Media Literacy campaign to help Kenyans become more discerning news consumers. We'll show you how to take care before you share. Tune in to the Situation Room from 6 a.m. every weekday morning for refreshing and profitable conversations about the facts. and only the facts.
Classic soul, R&B, smooth jazz, neo soul, and nostalgic ballads.
Make some noise. Yeah.
You're listening to Spice
It's a cloudy morning in
FM.
Nairobi at 12, highs of 23, lows of 14 today through the day. Mostly cloudy conditions in Nyeri at 12, highs of 19 and lows of 13. It's cloudy in Nakuru at 13. That'll be the low for today, going to highs of 25. Clear skies in Eldoret at 11, highs of 23. Highs of 27 in Kisumu. Clear skies currently at 18. It's 18 degrees in Kakamega. It's clear. Highs of 26 and lows of 15. Light rain in Mombasa at 23, going to highs of 29. We'll see highs of 28 in Malindi. It's raining slightly at 24. Clear conditions in Kampala at 18. Highs of 27 today. 29 will be the high in a mostly clear Dar es Salaam at 20. Currently, it'll come down to just that. 11 degrees and clear skies in Johannesburg. Highs of 19 and lows of 8. 30 will be the high in a partly cloudy Lagos. Currently at 25. It won't go lower than that today. Clear skies in Kinshasa at 21, highs of 31 and lows of 23. Looking at rain showers in Beijing, cooling the summer months just a little bit. It'll go to highs of 29 today and lows of 20. It's clear in Paris at 10 with highs of 21. It'll come down to lows of 16. And the summer continues in London as well at 15. It's raining this morning, however. Highs of 20 and lows of 12. And clear conditions in New York at 19. Highs of 24 and lows of 16.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right.
It's 19 after 6. City, today's proverb.
Indeed, today's proverb. A man does not go far from where his corn is roasting.
A man does not go far from where his corn is roasting. Chunga maliako.
Well said.
Okay.
Well said.
That's a nice one.
You know, it reminds me of an earlier time when I was actually a child. We told you it was a really long time ago. And one of the things that seemed prevalent when I look at the lives of the uncles I had, many of them would be engaged to young girls who were in school. And they would actually educate these girls until the girl probably finished school and then probably went for some training, which they also paid for. But something that was also particularly interesting, a good number of them, after doing all these things, had the unpleasant experience of having someone else. This corn that they had been roasting.
Eating the corn.
Eating the corn.
Actually, they took the corn.
Plus the entire roasting apparatus.
Oh. Hey, this life. Let's look at the headlines. Mike Mbuvi Sonko will not be governor of Nairobi unless the people of Nairobi decide to elect him again if he chooses to contest in next year's election. Okay? Story done. Okay? Madam Kananu, the deputy governor, and Kananu Mwenda, is properly and constitutionally in office as deputy governor. Okay?
Done.
Are we together?
Dusted.
Finished. So, in a couple of days' time, you could see Madam Kananu taking oath of office as governor of Nairobi City County. Okay. However, not until after July 6th, because the court has given Sonko time to file a petition for appealing this particular decision, and has been told until, for the next 10 days, you have the time. She can continue serving she has been acting as deputy governor for the duration of this case, and we find no harm if she continues in the same position to allow the petitioner file his appeal. For avoidance of doubt, the temporary orders will last for only 10 days and elapse on the 6th of July. According to the judges, Sonko shot himself in the foot. And he tried to run away from the mess he created when it was too late to undo the damage by nominating Kananu and failing to behave in a manner expected of a governor. The judges said his actions, which led to the impeachment, did not portray good governance expected of a state officer. We cannot fault the county assembly or the Senate for impeaching him when there was overwhelming evidence that he had violated the constitution. At the center of the dispute challenging Sonko's impeachment last December were two petitions, one challenging the nomination of Kananu as deputy governor and the second challenging Sonko's impeachment. On the appointment, the judges were clear that Sonko was to blame for his own mistake when he nominated her, only to purport to revoke the nomination when he had already been impeached. They say Sonko's letter purporting to withdraw Kananu's nomination was an afterthought. And at that point, he had already been impeached. He had no authority. He was an ordinary citizen trying to withdraw the nomination of Anne Kananu.
As a citizen. Well, you can't fault him for trying.
But however, there's something that they say here. There was overwhelming evidence that he had violated the constitution.
Okay.
They agree with the county assembly. They agree with the Senate. What was presented before them was overwhelming, and it was good ground, and they had locus standi to go ahead and do what? Impeach the governor.
Yeah.
This man, though, I think, there are several things that I think he has taken a gun and shot himself very many places. He has no feet. Shot the feet so many times. Remember going to court and saying, that whole thing of transferring my authority to the Nairobi Metropolitan Services, to the national government. Mm-hmm. By the way, I wasn't sober.
When I was
signing that thing, by the way.
When I signed it, weeks after, before.
When I was signing that thing,
okay,
in a publicly televised ceremony, he says he had been invited to State House, plied with alcohol, and made to sign. Now imagine somebody who says, people have given me authority and a job to do. Then somebody just comes and buys a round, 2 rounds, 3 rounds. I sign off.
That one wasn't...
it wasn't actually very bright of him to reveal that.
Actually, I don't know. There's something about this State House. Because... okay.
Oh, wow.
Because...
it is this same geographical location where our president has been quoted extensively as having said that certain nebulous creatures spoke to him in the dead of the night, and that brought about a change of mind on certain crucial issues about a certain individual who was at that particular point, and at this particular point also, vying for the seat of the president. As for being plied with drinks, I was hoping that he would have said he was force-fed with drinks.
Yes.
A pipe was shoved down his
Yes,
throat.
or intravenously, they shot alcohol into his system.
Yes.
But something which he consumed. He took himself to State House. The alcohol was offered according to him.
And he opened his own mouth.
Yes. With his own eyes wide open as he was seeing himself drinking it. What I find strange is how it is that this very notion and concept of power and what it does to people, how it can manifest itself in such a diverse form. Because ask yourself, when somebody makes such statements and then this same individual goes about making videos and saying things, you think, what does this person imagine is actually happening? And do they sit and imagine what the possible consequences of these things will be? Remember the other day, you asked, no, it wasn't you. Somebody asked why it is that I seem so certain that there will be consequences for some of the things that people do. Because there always are. I'm not being a clairvoyant. It's cause and effect. I'm simply stating a fact. There are always consequences for certain things. It may come calling immediately, it may not, but it will come calling.
It will come at some point.
It will come calling.
Even posthumously.
It will come calling. It'll come calling. So
this particular one is done and dusted, and I think the gentleman should be declared unfit to hold public office?
That is what I was going to ask, because they haven't declared that yet, have they?
No.
Because if you can say that about signing a document, then what is it? What are you saying about then the rest of your administration? Is that anything could have just gone?
No.
If it clearly was not the first time.
You see what the judges have said points in the right direction. Did he really understand the import of this particular job that he had?
The entire job, not
Yes.
this particular signing.
No.
The whole job.
Yes.
Yeah.
The responsibility that came with the job.
Question must be asked.
And the responsibility to the people. You're telling the people who voted you in that this is what you did on their behalf.
Yeah.
Because whatever you did was on their behalf.
It was on their behalf. And without consulting them, you went ahead and the job that they gave you to do, you gave somebody else
Yes.
to do.
And then you're now saying...
Without consulting them.
Yes.
Okay? And here you are now saying, by the way.
But and what is even terrible, the person whom you gave the job, by all accounts, seemed to be doing a very good job of what you were supposed to have done in the first place. Forget the constitutional issues. I'm putting that aside. I'm just looking at Nairobi Metropolitan Services, what they're doing, what they're on record as having done.
Is the job being done?
That's the job that should have been done by the governor.
Yeah. Well, we'll be looking at other headlines shortly. Jobs.standardmedia.co.ke. Now that we are talking about people understanding the job that they are applying for, do you actually understand a job that you're applying for, the requirements of a specific job, not what you studied, not your competence, but what the employer is looking for? It's very, very important. A couple of weeks ago, we had a conversation with an HR expert who is the head of talent at Standard Group. And he was telling us, look, whenever you're applying for a job, don't just copy and paste your application letter and CV from the previous application of a job to this one. No, study what they're asking for. Understand the organization. Understand what the organization will be looking for. Try and get some feelers from within the organization and then tailor your application letter, tailor your CV to what the organization could be looking for. You can get all this information and all these tips on jobs.standardmedia.co.ke. It gives you tips on how to apply for jobs, gives you tips on how to structure your letter of application, how to structure your resume, how to answer questions during an interview. And you'll find very many jobs that are listed on a daily basis on this particular platform. We'll be telling you some of those jobs later on. It's 6:30. Time for us to take a break and look at traffic. Good morning.
24/7 around the world, non-stop. This is Spice FM.
As the Kenyans are roared into the home straight here. 4 Kenyan queens have lit up this balmy Bahamian night.
It's where the rivalry is unmatched, where the soul meets the track, where the great are distinguished from the good. An arena where the records are broken.
A new world record. It's not just been beaten, it's been obliterated.
A stage where the legends are born. For Team Kenya, the Olympics is more than just a sport. It is our tradition. It's an event that has put Kenya on the roadmap. The Standard Group lets you watch every minute and every action live in the 2020 Tokyo Olympics. Because we live for Team Kenya. We live for the game. At Standard Group, sports lives here.
Okay, so guess what? All roads are leading to Naivasha this morning. My Matthew is at a gridlock today, and this was when it was still dark, and we have easily kilometers of traffic headed in that direction. So if you're going in that direction, just know that in front of you will be kilometers of traffic, and it's going to take you some time to get out there. So my Matthew already blocked this morning, and we're looking at more to come as the day progresses. Mombasa Road, as we look at that going towards the Nyeri Stadium roundabout, is moving quite slowly. You should be all right if you use the southern bypass. The ICD route also will help. The construction is moving further back now towards Mlolongo, so that means that things slow down considerably over the next couple of weeks. Coming out of industrial area through to Mombasa Road at the Likoni interchange, also we will see some traffic today. Thika Road, what does it look like? Well, it's already building up in traffic. Kiambu Road is a mess as we see it. To join the Muthaiga Square will look like yet another spectator sport that's going on, not just the rally. Okay? But we will look at it as we go along. SpiceFM KE on Twitter. Text us on 40127.
Spice FM, Malindi. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM.
Right. So, a woman planned the killing of her Dutch husband. This is what a court has been told. On June 6, police in Bamburi responded to a distress call from Riziki Cherono Ali, finding the woman with her hands strapped on to the steering wheel of her car. She told police that she was driven in the car from her apartment building in Roko Shanzu by unidentified men and left near Serena Beach Hotel. When police escorted her home, they found her husband Herman Roushorst, a Dutch businessman, dead on the couple's bed with his hands and legs tied and his mouth gagged. The night guard, Evans Rambo Bokolo, was found bleeding and unconscious. He died later. Ms. Cherono's statement was recorded at the Bamburi police station. After weeks of investigations, police believe Ms. Cherono masterminded the killing of her husband of 13 years. She was picked up from her home on Thursday. Sources privy to the investigation said 2 witnesses helped detectives link the woman to the killings. Court documents placed Ms. Cherono at the scene of the crime. So we know this is a case that happened dealing with it. Yeah. So now all of these details are coming out. According to investigative officer Ruben Mwaniki, there is no evidence of violence on the security setting of the compound. Roushorst was killed in the bedroom he shared with Miss Cherono. Detectives say there were no signs of break-in in the apartment. Other than the murdered watchman, police found nothing to suggest violent entry. Investigations have also revealed that Miss Cherono threatened the 2 witnesses. They are among the witnesses prosecutors will line up against her. The court documents seeking to have Cherono detained for further questioning paint the picture of a calculated murder and a conspiracy to conceal evidence. Detectives say Cherono threatened neighbors after the killings. Some potential witnesses are reported to have been threatened by the respondent. They have moved out and switched off their phones. Police intend to take the woman to the government chemist for samples to be extracted for comparison with evidence found at the scene. But all initial indications point to her being the mastermind of this murder and then playing herself as victim.
Okay, so did the police say then who tied her up? So who did she collude with?
This is the thing. They're saying, according to them, they're yet to find out who else could have been involved. But from their initial investigations, she most definitely was.
Wow. Okay. The Ombudsman has come into the issue of CPA, what's his name? Sankale. Yes. And they say that Spencer Sankale should be reinstated. The Commission on Administrative Justice chairperson Florence Kajuju yesterday called for the reinstatement of Sankale, who she said was being victimized for telling the truth and doing his job. Speaking in Mombasa during a workshop on access to government information, Kajuju said her office would ensure that he is not victimized. Sankale was sacked because of his capacity as an accountant. He made public misappropriation of funds. We have written to the Vice-Chancellor and Chairman demanding Sankale be reinstated. There's good pressure coming from very many quarters on behalf of Sankale, which is a good thing. There's another story here, and this is a bit of a sad story. So there's a couple that was blessed on February 1st this year with quadruplets. The boys were, however, born prematurely and had to spend their first days in a neonatal intensive care unit. They incurred a 4 million shilling bill, which the parents, Charles Chalo and his wife Virginia Adhiambo, are saying they could not afford to foot. This is the genesis of a vicious court battle between the couple and Nairobi South Hospital. Chalo and Adhiambo accuse the hospital of turning their babies into prisoners at birth, while the hospital, which denies holding on to the infants as collateral, accuses the two of making little effort to raise the balance of 3.5 million shillings. So they say, the parents, that the hospital released 2 boys on February 26th, but failed to discharge the other 2 on account that they were still being treated. But the parents claim that they were told they would only be released once they clear the bill. So you get triplets, quadruplets. The hospital releases 2 and says the other 2 need to stay here. And then on the side, and by the way, you clear the bill so that these ones can go.
So they can go home.
Yep. According to their lawyer, they say the illegal detention of the minors has exposed the petitioners and the minors to emotional and psychological torture and exposed the minors to inhuman and degrading treatment. The respondents' act of holding on to the minors as Leon directly infringes the minors' rights to liberty and security of persons. However, in their reply, the hospital says the minors that have now been discharged were underweight. It further claims that the parents knew they had to remain in hospital for medical reasons. They were discharged on the 14th of March. The hospital argues that the parents have not committed to settling the bill, and that when the two come to the hospital, they promised to settle their bill. At the same time, the insurance allegedly committed to pay 200,000 shillings. The hospital says it has not charged the couple an extra coin. The kids were later released, but they're in court. They're saying, look, you are holding us. You are holding our children as collateral.
You know,
you're saying you pay or these children stay here.
It's an interesting discussion, and there has been a move to actually pass a law that prohibits hospitals from actually holding patients because of bills. But it's tricky. Because a private hospital is a business. There is also a move to try and prevent private hospitals from seeking deposits when somebody is unwell before they can actually be treated. All good and well, but healthcare has a cost to it.
Yes.
Now, remember we had the gentleman who came to see us, Derek, Transparency International, regional boss, and said, he mentioned that we over-legislate. He has a point. If we actually did have universal health care, if we revamped our NHIF, if we made sure that possible contributors were genuinely mopped up, and this particular fund was actually well resourced, some of these things would be a discussion in the third person, and it would be an immediate problem as we keep discussing it. Because people who are likely to fall ill, when they do, would have the means to actually get treated. But when you want to legislate so that hospitals are exposed, because that's what will happen. Somebody sick needs help, understandable. But then how does the hospital get compensated for what they are likely to do? I mean, it's an ongoing discussion. And it's something that can be resolved if we, the citizens, have the means to actually seek and get medical help.
So we finance and revamp our public health care.
Yes.
So that then we can access that.
I would take it even further. Revamp the public health sector and focus on the preventative aspects of health so that people don't get sick, and in not getting sick, they do not need to go to hospital. By the time you're being hospitalized, what it means is whatever was ailing you has gotten to a point where it has increased in intensity. That's why you're going to hospital. But there's a point at which you could have been sorted out without necessarily going to hospital.
That's true.
That's ought to be the focus. But then it is not commercially viable.
In the meantime, in the meantime, and in the interest of the people who are falling sick today, and also in the interest of the people who have invested in the healthcare system, what should happen? Because look, there's an issue here. Yes, the hospital is running a business, and we spoke to the chairman of the Private Hospitals Association. Okay, you're running a business, but the person who's coming to you is coming to you, A, in an emergency. Somebody has been brought to your facility in an emergency by well-wishers, people who don't even know the person. They just picked them up because he collapsed on the street, got involved in an accident, or whatever. And the first thing that you're saying is, who's going to pay the bill? There's that.
Yes.
And then there's a case like this one, where you're admitted to hospital, one thing leads to another, you end up staying in the hospital longer, so your bill is accruing, and then you get to a point where you're unable to raise that money immediately. Now, should a hospital say, we continue detaining you, or should a hospital, you're the one who's invested, man, think creatively?
Actually, the thinking creatively should involve people in the private sector of healthcare having long discussions with the government. Because if one party decides this is the step they're going to take, we are going to legislate so that you just admit people. there'll be pushback.
Yeah.
If they insist we are going to charge anyway, there'll be there's pushback from both. And yet, I'm certain, as you say, if a discussion has been had, then let them have more discussion so that something that helps the person who actually needs that particular health care sorted is sorted.
When they need it.
Yes,
When
it
they
can.
need it.
That discussion can be had.
Because the truth of the matter is that these cases that we look at, that people are not able to pay their bills, is not the majority. They're in the minority. So I'm saying that there must be a way that this can be sorted out. Because guess what? The longer they stay in hospital, they're not ill. You have to take care of them. You have to feed them. And watch over them on a daily basis. So you continue to incur an unnecessary cost. There must be a way that this can be sorted out.
You know, for the longest time, this NHIF that we speak of, it really sorted out very many problems for very many people. And they've revamped it. Then COVID came, complicated the issue a little bit. Well, not really a little bit, a great bit.
Turned it belly up.
Yes, but all I'm saying is, the NHIF has always pointed in my mind to a solution that can actually be improved upon. Yes.
We should have a very constructive conversation about NHIF.
Yes.
And not just fighting back and saying, oh no, you cannot increase the contributions to NHIF.
No.
Look at it in terms of the benefit. Today, there are many people who will be going to public hospitals across the country to get dialysis.
Yes.
NHIF is footing that.
There are people who travel out of the country for medical help. NHIF caters for part of it.
Yes.
Yes.
It's a very important institution in our country. Very, very important. And as we're talking about health, let's talk about malaria, all right? Because
please.
the Ministry of Health would like us to have this conversation about malaria and just reinvigorate awareness on malaria. Many people know, the symptoms of malaria, like we were saying yesterday, CT, skia malaria, but there's issues of fever. The symptoms would include fever, high body temperature, fatigue, headaches, loss of appetite, chest pain, and even occasional vomiting. If you exhibit any of these symptoms, don't decide that it's malaria. Don't decide that, last week I had this must be one thing or the other. Just go to hospital and get put into get tested, let a doctor determine that you actually have malaria, and then they put you on a treatment. Now, the treatment for malaria has evolved over time. It used to be that one time when you're given, what was it? The very bitter thing. Quinine.
Quinine.
Bitter like the devil.
You actually get the impression you actually got better because you didn't really want to take that thing again.
And then it evolved into the 4-2-2-2-2. Current malaria therapy again is another phase of what you're given. But it's important just to go and get the treatment.
And also the testing has also improved. Remember, you even have kits, malaria testing kits that you can actually buy now. Meaning you can actually test yourself and determine whether you have. The truth of the matter is, even if you went to a hospital, it isn't expensive. And there are pharmacies that actually even offer this. They will test you.
They test you at the pharmacy.
They'll test you. And it may cost you 50 shillings, 100 shillings, but they will test you. All I'm saying is there is the possibility of knowing whether you have malaria or not.
With certainty.
With
greater certainty than just nasikia malaria.
Malaria, yes.
It's 6:45. Let's take this quick break. We'll continue with the headlines shortly. Good morning.
24/7 around the world, non-stop. This is Spice FM.
Hello.
Halo, umesikia?
Nimesikia nini?
Hujasikia habari? Hebu acha nikuambie. Kile kimetokea.
Hello? Hello? Hello?
Don't wait for hearsay. Dial *550*1# to read the standard e-paper from the convenience of your mobile phone for only 20 shillings from your telecom line, and stay up to date for a reliable source with over 100 years of experience with no additional data charges.
Classic soul, R&B, smooth jazz, neo soul, and nostalgic ballads.
Make some noise. Yeah!
You're listening to Spice FM. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
This one is not good.
Okay.
It's not good at all.
Okay.
Stalled projects in Uhuru Kibaki eras crosses 9 trillion.
Stalled.
And the number of projects that we've had ongoing cumulatively are 4,000. It's actually 3,972.
What?
And the reasons why they've been stalled are many. It's not only one reason. No. The one which normally comes out first when you think about it is non-payment. Contractor on site not paid. Okay. Then came devolution. Some of these projects now became county projects. Counties didn't budget for it. The project got stalled. And then some of these projects also apparently ended up, their issues ended up in court. So while the court case was ongoing,
nothing is happening.
Nothing is, of course, is happening. All right. Then our parliament also created and brought about, with, of course, the connivance of the Treasury, a certain ceiling. Now, with that ceiling, it also meant there are certain thresholds of funding.
The recording has stopped.
It has, hasn't it? So it also meant that there are certain things you couldn't go beyond. That's number one. But the other one also, donor funding. Donors came up and said, you know something? We're not funding this thing. Now, what has made this thing even more dramatic is that IMF and World Bank have said, you need to cancel some of these projects. But the real sharpening increase came in 2017. Many of these projects, because they are mega infrastructure projects.
So many projects that had already been started in 2017, they stalled.
They had stalled before.
Okay.
Some had stalled, some hadn't. But some of the really mega ones were now upped in 2017.
Okay.
There was an increase in this number of projects. Then I've left the best for the last. The real clincher was that some of these projects were started and they hadn't been budgeted for. Yes.
How's that?
Politicians make statements, we will do these things, we will do these things, we will do these things. But the money for actually doing them has not actually been budgeted for.
So, it's okay. So if it's not been budgeted for, how does a project get off the ground?
But the government can just get it off the ground. I mean, if they want to get it off the ground, they can.
So, yeah, but whose vote are they getting out of? Whose vote is actually being stolen? Because a budget is made and appropriations are done.
Yes,
right?
there's an entire process to it.
And every project is allocated a certain amount of money. Everything, including salaries, wages, and all. So when you come up with something that's not been budgeted for, it means that you are going to something that has been budgeted for and taking that money and redirecting it into these other projects.
And then destabilizing the other one.
Yes.
And what justification do you give unless it's an emergency? Like now you could say COVID was an emergency and we saw the National Treasury going to Parliament and saying because of this we seek to, and that's where they come up with the supplementary budgets.
Yes.
To reallocate and reassign some funds.
Yes. Okay. I'm agreeing with you. Just say something else. I'll still say yes.
Still say yes. Affirmative.
Jesus.
Jesus.
Well, the Minister for Finance, Head of Treasury, has said that the government is actually considering cancelling about a third of the stalled public projects.
Before Uncle, they don't have money.
Which would yield 1.3% of the GDP in savings. Now...
Sorry, just say that again. I didn't hear.
Okay, let me read it. In a budget policy statement, Treasury Secretary Kuria Tani said the government was considering cancelling about a third of the stalled projects, public projects, which would yield 1.5% of the GDP in savings, equivalent 152.35 billion.
Okay. So, yes.
You know, what I find saddening, a stalled project, you know what it means? It means that I'm thinking of a stadium, okay? you start by building a nice perimeter wall, very nice wall. You start working on the stand and probably on the playing field, or if there's a track. Now, if it's incomplete, you know what it means? You can't use it.
Shattered dreams.
Yes, because when you started, it means you've dismantled what existed.
Yes. Yeah.
You might as well not have started it, because then it was usable, just in a dilapidated state, but usable.
You would have even used it to farm.
Precisely. It's like, this lovely overhead road that's going to reach
so
to
it
the
stalls
skies
at
here.
this point.
I think you've gotten my point. Now,
Guys, stop it. Don't say that. Don't say it, because I can't.
No. You have to give a live example so that you understand what would happen.
I'm just trying to imagine. After all this while.
Yes, it stops.
Then it stops.
It stops.
No.
It actually stops.
They must have finished it.
Can you see the disruption it would cause? But where I was going with this was, given the height of that road, probably more than 10 meters, can you think of, remember we've talked about trams in the city and what have you?
Yep.
In planning, there are countries where when you have such infrastructure, you also plan to have a tram just under it. Because remember, I think we lost one lane on this side and one lane on the other to build it. Now, could something have fitted in between? Because there's a space in between that something could have fitted in. All I'm saying is, you look at the things that we do,
and you ask yourself how far we go. Remember when we spoke with the urban development PS, Charles Hinga, he said they're looking at how they can take advantage of that by putting in the BRT under the expressway, utilizing that space that we're talking about.
This one.
But then the question would be, was that actually factored in the design?
That is where I was.
At the very beginning.
Should it not have been? And listening.
Or are we going to find somewhere where there's a column in the middle of that space that you'd created?
Already, as you look at it, we drive on that road daily. You're in Afasi Kuna. Charles Hinga understands this work. There's no doubt about it. And I am certain that he simply came across headwinds. Somebody with his experience must have known, folks, as we're planning for
this thing. Let's also
consider 1, 2, 3.
Yes, and Kenya is full of clever people. So somebody who thought he was cleverer than this individual must have said, no, we can do that later. Said, no, look, while we are planning for this, let's have this.
Let's leave the space.
It makes
for this.
sense.
Yes.
And they could have.
Now, people who are running Airbnbs, villas, guest houses, serviced apartments, homestays, hostels, marketing themselves on online booking platforms, you have been warned by the Tourism Regulatory Authority, which would like to notify the public that it has come to their attention that some restaurants and hotels have been marketing themselves as having attained various star ratings from this authority, yet that's untrue. That's one part. Then the other one is for these ones who are running these things that I've just talked about. They risk prosecution and 12 months in jail and other penalties if convicted. The concerns come at a time when the tourism and hospitality industry is gradually bouncing back after a freeze on international travel. So here is what they say. You want to run a service department, you've got to be authorized and licensed by the Tourism Regulatory Authority. You want to run a homestay, Airbnb, you've got to go to them. You want to run a guest house, you want to run hostels and such, don't just wake up and decide, you know what, I'm moving out of this house, I can convert it into Airbnb, or I have an extra room, or my kids have left, I can use the servant quarter as a boss.
Do you know how
you're running
many
that as a hotel, as a business?
Do you know how many of those exist right now and clearly are not regulated or clearly have not gone to seek that license?
Yeah.
Many.
License equals tax.
Yes.
Yes, no.
Yes. That's what it means. License equals tax. Now, the regulator is basically trying to come for those ones now and saying, okay, now this is what we're going to do. And especially those that are marketing themselves on the online platforms, such as Airbnb, Booking.com, and the other travel sites. People are going to Naivasha this weekend.
Hey, wait.
Yes?
It's true.
No, people have gone to
People are on the way.
On the way, they have been
and
there.
More people are going to
Naivasha.
Yes.
Do you know where those people, many of them are going to stay in such places?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Right? Now, such places have not been registered, licensed. They're illegal entities.
This is a path whose outcome is not difficult to predict.
You can see.
You can't tax the living daylights out of your people, for heaven's sake. That business, the money generated ends up being taxed in one way or the other.
Yeah.
You will get your money. But if you stranglehold this thing, you're throttling it.
Let it thrive.
Yes.
And then support it to thrive and then see how
best you can. Yes, exactly. Because when it thrives, all you're doing is you're revamping the economy. You're doing something that ought to be done. When more money is generated, it means there's more to tax.
Yep.
But this hasn't even started working properly and you want to tax it. Okay.
You want to control its development. A quick story.
Well, really quickly. Okay, so the 7-judge bench is to hear the BBI appeal case. A 7-judge bench will hear the BBI appeals, and they include Court of Appeal President Daniel Musinga and Justices Rosalind Nambuye, Hannah Okwengu, Patrick Kiage, Gatembu Cairo, Fatuma Sichale, and Francis Tuyot. At the same time, parties opposed to the appeals filed by President Uhuru Kenyatta and Raila Odinga, as well as the BBI Steering Committee and the IEBC, have urged the court to dismiss the appeals. That's not going to happen right now. The team headed by economist David Ndé argues that the High Court was right to stop the BBI reggae, and they've urged the second highest court to uphold the verdict by 5 High Court judges. 29th of June until the 4th of July is when these deliberations will take place. There we will find out what happens about reggae.
It's going to be an interesting one. That one, those, how many days are those? 5 days?
5 days.
5 days, 29th of June, 4th of July. And then the judges come out and say, now, having considered, they will read it for like 2 days. There are 7 judges.
The following.
We are going to understand our constitution
even better. Yes, indeed.
Even better.
Keep it right here for more conversations coming up in the next hour. This is Kenya's biggest conversation, broadcasting on SpiceFM and live streaming online, SpiceFM KE, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and our website, www.spicefm.co.ke. It's now 7 o'clock.
Spice up your life. The latest news from around the world. 94.4 Spice FM.
This is Newswire. I'm Denisa Seto. Deputy President William Ruto said he will not resign and insisted he is ready to build a national party after the efforts to save Jubilee Party were thwarted. This latest declaration coming a few days after he announced that he would run for the presidency on a UDA party ticket when senior Jubilee and ODM officials made it clear that talks were underway to form a coalition as the country heads towards the 2022 general elections.
I intend to build with the whole of my ability a political party, a national political party that will bring Kenyans together, people from all regions together, because I believe that it is in the institution of a political party that a better Kenya is visible.
As Kenyans paid their last respect to former Game MP Jakoyo Midio, political leaders took the opportunity to talk politics of 2022. Leaders supporting ODM leader Raila Odinga asked ANC leader Musalia Mudavadi and his Wiper counterpart Kalonzo Musyoka to reunite with Raila Odinga in his bid for the presidency. The call was made by Makadara MP George Aladwa, John Mbadi and Game MP Elisha Odhiambo.
Mkiwa na wenzako Mheshimiwa Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka pamoja na Musalia Mudavadi, hii ni wakati wenyu wa kuangalia Kenya itakuwaje 2022. You know we are in your hands. Do something.
And I implore the Honorable Kalonzo Musyoka and the Honorable Musalia, if you take your brother to marry and you finally realize the girl has been taken abroad to study and finally the girl comes back, you must go back and take him to ensure that the girl is married.
Nairobi Deputy Governor Anne Kananu will have to wait a little longer before she is sworn in as the Nairobi Governor. This after Sonko's lawyers led by Evans Ondieki filed a petition in court asking the judges to block Kananu's swearing in to allow them to evaluate the court's decision. Earlier, the court ruled that Kananu's appointment was in line with the law as the Nairobi County Assembly announced the nomination and involved the public.
It is our finding that the nomination, vetting, approval and swearing in of Hon Kananu as the Deputy Governor was constitutional and complied with the applicable laws. Consequently, we find that all the petitions challenging her ascendancy to the position of Deputy Governor are without merit and are hereby dismissed. Conversely, our above holding is sufficient to take care of the prayers in Hon Kananu's cross petition and that of the fourth petitioner, Josephat Kariuki.
IEBC is tomorrow expected to oversee the election of the Kenya National Union of Teachers. KNUT Secretary General Wilson Sossion said the election will be held in adherence to COVID-19 protocols. Sossion has been accused of intending to interfere with the exercise. This is Newswire. I'm Denis Aseto.
Okay, folks are crying on Wakiwe this morning, heading out into the city. Very, very slow today. Uhuru Highway taken up by all the construction that's going on. And that means a slower entry into the city and also outbound. So we see that there is quite some traffic headed out in the Naivasha direction. Maimahiu, that's tail backed all the way. Kilometers of traffic this morning, and as we get into traffic hour officially, we see that is actually going to stop some people from getting out as quickly as you would like. Coming off of Thika Road into the CBD as well, it's pretty slow. As you get to the Pangani interchange, also that'll take some time. Jogo Road heading out is also slow. Let's look at Thika Road also. NYS heading to town, moving slowly. The service lane is clear, however, up until Muthaiga. You can use that without too much of an issue. Then you get back onto the highway towards Pangani, right? Apart from that, it doesn't look too bad. But folks are saying Thika Road, use the alternative via Madare, and that will take you in much faster. So that's what we're looking for, guys. Those alternatives, if you find them, share. SpiceFM KE on Twitter this morning. Text 40127.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Oko, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latif, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is The Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
7 o'clock. This is Kenya's biggest conversation. CT, today's proverb.
A man does not go far from where his corn is roasting.
A man does not go far from where his corn is roasting.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Chunga mali yako. Chunga mali yako.
Is that so?
Chunga mahindi choma.
Chunga mahindi. Yeah, don't even be attracted by your neighbor's corn.
Because?
Eh?
Because?
Yours, you live it.
You do not need your eyes in order to talk. So just talk to your neighbor while looking at your corn.
Ni sawa?
Yeah, ni sawa ende. Ni sawa. Hey, all right. Let's talk about technology. And the conversation about technology is especially about mobile technology. A lot's happening in the world in advancements in mobile technology. And to help us just have this conversation is the head of Integrated Mobile Division at the Samsung Electronics East Africa, Mr. Charles Kimari. Good morning, Charles.
Hey, good morning. How are you?
Very well. Good to have you again on the show.
Thank you so much. How is everybody? How are you doing?
We are very well, thank you, sir.
All right.
I like the Samsung gear that you're wearing. Everything there looks, Samsung-y.
It's called a Buds Live.
It's called a what again?
A Buds Live.
Okay.
There's Buds Live, there's Buds Pro, and the beauty is that you don't have wires crisscrossing all around your neck.
Yeah.
It's looking like you want to commit something that cannot be mentioned.
Okay, is it also bulletproof?
I like that.
You look like a Secret Service agent. Actually, you guys should give them. They still have wires.
Thank you so much. and the good thing is that it's quite clear. You can still be writing, reading, walking to a distance of even around 20 meters, 25 meters, where still you're using it. So you can multitask while you're still having it.
That's brilliant.
Fantastic. Yeah.
Charles, the last time we spoke, it was at the height of everybody in the world not understanding COVID-19, all businesses getting there and wondering, so what's going to happen? How are we going to adapt, adjust, and make sure that we survive as businesses in this, in our economies? How are we going to help our customers also navigate through these tough times? Now we are in 2021. There's a lot that is now being understood about COVID, and businesses have found ways of thriving in that environment. Tell us about Samsung East Africa, and especially the mobile division, and how business has been during this time.
COVID-19 started. It was a bleak point at which nobody knew what the future portends on business, operation, and enterprise. It was a difficult time, and people tried to understand what they needed to do, either currently or in the future, or how do they prepare for it. But I can tell you that most of the things that were looked at tended to flip a bit, because the world went into a shutdown at the production factory side, scaling down, and anticipated reduction of demand. But technology just took a very sky-high dive on the same. And I can tell you, at the technology category, I don't think there's anybody who was, whether myself or my competition or everybody else, both consumer electronics and mobile devices, the demand has been very considerably quite high on the same. Yeah, correct.
And why is this? And I'm asking that question because when we looked at the regular cycle of things and how people would purchase this technology, it was, all right, you needed a new gadget, or there was a new one that came out and you wanted to upgrade. Are those the same reasons that we are seeing? Because a lot of decisions were taken to downgrade spending during this difficult year, right? So why would it be that the purchase of technology, from Samsung has remained high?
Okay, good question. Let's look at it. What exactly happened is that, one, government instituted lockdown measures that were meant to contain the spread of the disease, the virus. So automatically people receded where? To their homes. Okay. With this net effect of almost 60-70% people moving to their homes and working from home, there was a net effect that business cannot stop, work cannot stop, services cannot stop. So people needed to gear up and prepare to work from home. So anybody who was at home started asking themselves, am I ready to work from home? Niko na nini kwa nyumba? Maybe somebody had a very tiny 5-inch, 4-inch screen of a device. Maybe it was not a smartphone. He needed to get online.
Yeah.
They needed to get into Zoom like we are doing right now. I'm actually using my phone. I'm not using my tablet or my laptop on the same. And these are some of the factors that portend the upgrade of the devices that people were carrying. And to another extent, an increase in the comfort level at home at a technological level to ease the use of these devices. people ask, TV yangu inatoshanaje?
Yeah.
Maybe somebody had a 24 inch. Now they needed a 32 inch or a 40 inch or a 55 inch or a 65 inch, maybe so that they can integrate with the screen and have a bigger view of what the things that they're looking at. So by the fact of moving at home, people rediscovered quite a lot that they needed to upgrade in terms of technology. Internet penetration increased. You can see Safaricom declaring numbers of just upward curve growth. Home fiber increasing. All these were clear signals that people decided to prepare their houses or set up themselves to work from home.
And although during this time, the communication from Samsung went a notch higher on promoting the Samsung A series. Tell us about this particular phone. I mean, the A series has been there for a number of years, since 2004 or 2014? Just tell us about the series and now the new gadgets that are in this particular series.
Okay. Actually, the A series, we launched the A series towards 2019 or the same, and I can tell you from the beginning of the same, and I can tell you that it is one of the decision informed to launch the A series was after a lot of research and development and checking consumer voice in the market. There was an extensive research that was done on consumers so that to make the Samsung brand much more accessible to the consumers with the premium features that it normally has. This Samsung is already an aspirational brand. And at this category level, we needed to increase the pool of people who can be able to access our product at the both entry mass level, but still enjoy the features at a premium level on the same. Therefore, the putting forward of the A series to the market was put forward with very high specs on the same and with an idea of reaching the very depth of the market. So actually, I must indicate that this is one of the best actions that we took, because the market share has grown in leaps and bounds on the same. The volumes have increased, and as you have rightly said, it changed the landscape of the mobile device. Because right now, as you can see from the A series, the least memory that we have at the entry level is 32 GB, and that is only one model. But all the other models you find at 15,000, 20,000 shillings, and find 128 GB feature spec available on the model. Fantastic camera. And the research clearly indicated that consumers are purely after very specific things. The camera proves to be one of the biggest requirements from the market. Memory stood out heavily. That they needed to save their photos. The millennials, the device became the tool of on the go, and you need to have two very critical fundamentals, two critical items. One, that is the camera. Two, that is the memory, and three, the battery. So you have these three backs up with you, you're good to go, and you're good to enjoy your device. So this became the A series story.
Delightful. I just want to ask, I think you must have mentioned it, but I missed it. So the specific market that you're targeting with this product, what manner of citizen were you targeting? Is it a certain age group? Is it a certain socioeconomic group?
Gender. Education status.
Because when you do your research and development, I'm certain that these are some of the issues that you want to consider. And then you also throw in the price. And the question I would ask is, when you talk about the price range, I heard you mention 15,000. Would you have something that has half the specs of this one at, say, 5,000?
Okay, good. Very good question. What informed us about how to approach our market was affordability and high spec at the entry and mass and mid-tier categories. So what the general feedback we got from the market was the features that I have just mentioned to you. So how could Samsung come forward and put a device in the market that will cut across board with a code name A series, but be categorized from the A series and segment the A series into different strata of the environment or of the market. So we went out and categorized the product at entry level, mid and upper mid on the same. So who gets to use the A series? A series is available from anybody in terms of financial scope, because we cover our cheapest device is at in the market. You can find it for around 9,999. We could have wanted to go much lower on the same, but then would have compromised on the specs and the features of that. So we tried very much to be sub 10,000, at least with a certain, one model, that is our A3 core, which has proved quite popular at the moment in the market. All the way up to 55,000 shillings, you will find an A series device. So the specs across board, we tried to make the specs, the key fundamental specs, that's the battery, the camera, and the memory, as common as possible along the structure without a very big gap between the product. Because my lowest memory is 32 GB, there's a 64 GB, and there's a 128 GB on the same. So memory did not go very well, very far apart from each other. And the camera became almost absolutely vital, and we kept the pixel level close to each other on the same. So we serve a wider range of the population. You ask me, is there a product for a student, a university student? Yes, there is. There's a 9,000 shillings product, but is 9,000 affordable to a university student? Maybe not. So what did Samsung go further and do in the market? In the market, as you're aware, there are different companies that we have engaged with using our NOx license that enabled certain corporations to sell the product at installment, on an installment basis. There's where you can pay daily, you can pay weekly, or you can pay monthly. And this is an initiative by some two companies. That is, one, we have M-Copper, who is doing quite phenomenal in terms of penetration in the market with three of our very entry and powerful models, A3 Core, A12, and A02. And also there's D-Lite, who has come in to fill in the space also in the market to offer the product at installments to make the product affordable to the market. And this is the fundamental shift that is there in the market, because it has seen the penetration go deeper, especially up country, where there was a gap on the same.
Charles, statistically, from what you see in the Kenyan market in particular, in terms of now this entry and middle level consumer, how many new people are buying a smartphone as a first device currently in Kenya? And if you can compare that maybe to 10, 15 years ago, and how many people are buying an upgrade of a smartphone as a second device?
Okay, good question. To track this, there's data very readily available at our operators. Before, people were using 2G network.
Feature phones, yeah.
On feature phones. Okay? So to understand the transformation is to track the transformation of the operator. They have moved from 2G to 3G and 4G. And now 5G is coming up, but it's not yet at its place yet. And I can tell you that the leaps and bounds that are associated with this are anywhere between, on an annual basis, at around 15 to 20% up on the same, which is quite significant on a change. And it has been going year on year to an incremental level, because 4G right now coverage is countrywide, because the extent of coverage determines the extent of speed of upgrade of the movement from feature phone to smartphone on the same. Your second question was
people who are now buying the second phone, moving from a feature phone into a smartphone, or upgrading from one level of smartphone, let's say the entry level of the A series at 9,000, but then the second phone that they'll buy a higher grade phone.
And that's a very good question, because ideally, when you get to experience the first level of an A series at 9,000, 10,000, 12,000 shillings, with the powerful specs that we have brought down on the same, then you can always cascade up to the next device. And we are having an almost attachment ratio of close to 65 to 70%, that there's a transition direct to the same device on the same. Our catch is to push it up all the way to 90, 95%. And this is significant in the sense that the moment you score big with your first client, it will drive all the way up to the top. So, and that is why you will find at A52, A72, the spec sheet on the features on these phones are almost close to the flagship devices. So you get to enjoy real value for some good amount of money and a very good device on the same.
You've also invested in care or, after sales support, and especially care for anybody who might then, have a ruined phone or such with the Samsung Care. And how does this work out right now? Somebody's phone gets messed up, they're able to come into a care center, support, get it fixed.
Okay. This I must admit that this new initiative in the market and has proven to be one of the most fundamental game changers, in the sense that the view from the consumer is that they're dealing with a responsible company that looks after their care and interest. What is Samsung Care Plus? Samsung Care Plus is whereby Samsung has offered to replace a screen that has been broken once at no cost at all. The only cost is a nominal fee of either between 2,000 to 3,000 shillings for purposes of facilitation to fix the screen. Before, the mood in the market was that Samsung screens are quite expensive, and repairing was a big cost. So what we did is that we lowered the cost for all the screens across our service centers, and you'll find us indicating the price within the store so that a customer can have a clear understanding of the price. And number two, we went further and said, hey, we need to show some responsibility to our clients by giving the new models that are coming through to enjoy the Samsung Care Plus. And these models were A72, A52, A32, and all Samsung flagships. That is the S series, M series, and any others that we are going to launch. So this has proven to be a seismic shift on the same, because the actual attachment ratio, because you can track all the customers who are buying it and enrolling into the Samsung Care Plus activity, it's almost at around 95 to 97%. So customers have shown direct attachment to this. And this is the fundamental part. You need to register. Once you buy your phone, just log in on the code and register the Samsung Care Plus. And this guarantees you a free screen repair on the same for the models that I've mentioned, with terms and conditions apply on the same.
Is it only for screens?
Pardon?
Does it only apply for screen, changing the screen, or does it apply for other things as well?
No, it applies for the screen only. Okay. Because we did the extensive research that we did in the market, and it showed that the screen was the consumer's much more frequently damaged, because this is what somebody comes to interact with and contact with at a daily basis on the same.
Something that I wanted to ask. There is a phone that in Kenya is popularly known as Mulika Mwizi. It doesn't have some of the features that we're talking about, but it has a radio. touch, and it's very cheap.
And if you call somebody, will pick.
And if you call somebody, yes, they will receive it. If you send an SMS, they will also receive. But you will not be able to watch a movie on it. Now,
correct.
Does Samsung have a product that competes with this?
All right. Good question. A feature phone is the basic entry device. Where is the world going? To the smart world. In the next 3-4 years or less, the possibility of a feature phone being in the market will be close to nil. Why? Because the cost of smartphones has come down very considerably. Technology has become much more cheaper and much more available. So it will not make fundamental sense for you to have a Mulika Muzi on the same. So most of the companies are shifting and reducing the quantities they're churning out on feature phones on the same. And that includes Samsung also on that aspect. So we do have a feature phone, but we have seen almost total decline of the demand of this particular product within our existing market because the smartphone is becoming much more affordable. They're finding payment terms available to purchase and afford this product through the M-Copper and Delight, where they can pay on small installments on a weekly basis, daily basis, or a monthly basis. So the feature phone will become a story we will talk to our kids about. That's more like I can put it, as opposed to the product that will be on the trend in future.
So people should hold on to the feature phones that they have now. It'll be relics.
It will become
it will be. But actually, you know why I brought in the discussion of the feature phone? Is because even as we talk about the smartphone, well, I was actually thinking, since technology is moving in that direction, why can't technology move in the direction of having a feature phone that actually has these qualities that clearly everybody seems to want? Because
it has a tuner, an inbuilt tuner, for example.
Yes.
You know, we're not asking you to fry eggs. We all we wanted to do.
Cheza radio.
The radio bado inacheza tayari.
Wash a torch.
You know, even the person who has 3,000 shillings, oddly enough, to spend. You see, I was looking at the wages of citizens in this country. Farm workers earn minimum wage is less than 5,000, if I'm not wrong. That is accepted minimum wage in Kenya. If you're not a farm worker, it's assumed that you'll earn an untaxable amount of maybe 10,000 and slightly above. That's what you earn per month. Now, we haven't considered the informal sector worker who's paid on a daily basis and doesn't also work every day. All these people want phones. They would like to have a smartphone. So the question I was asking is, this smartphone that they can afford, because 9,000, you're asking someone to give you his entire salary to buy a phone, that will be a bit of a tall order. And yet, these individuals that I'm speaking of form the largest number of people who actually work in this country. They are by far the vast majority. That's what I'm actually saying.
Very true, and we are very cognizant of that part. Let me put it this way in a practical way.
Yes.
If you had a phone to be paying for 40 shillings per day or 35 to 50 shillings per day, would it cover this sea of the community?
I think it can. It can.
Fantastic. Then my answer is, for this sea of the community, Samsung has already partnered with key device sellers like M-Copper and Delight. They're offering devices payable on a daily basis at 35, anywhere between 40 and 50 shillings per day. And you get to own a full A12 or A02 or A, depending on which category or C of the product you want. So the most fundamental thing here is, is it affordable? we have made it affordable. And Knox software enables this to be done, because most of these, the two companies are using the Knox software to actually be able to sell the product to the consumers on installment. They can be able to manage with the consumer and get into a contract with them and then be able to proceed on that. You can see all these companies either online or on billboards around or in their stores, and just walk in. I would tell consumers, walk in. Don't be shy. It's easy now to afford a smartphone. Look at how our operators are doing. Operators are going up in terms of band coverage. 4G, 5G is the route to go at the moment. 2G will go disappearing step by step, but of course they have their contractual obligations to the consumer. So they cannot just shift at once. There's a huge chunk of market of 2G people in the market. And this is what is driving smartphone demand within Africa on the same. And it is going to continue growing in leaps and bounds on that.
Thank you very much, Charles. Charles Kimari is the head integrated mobile division at Samsung Electronics East Africa. Thank you for joining us again. Hopefully soon you'll be here in the studio with us.
Asante sana. I miss your studio.
Thanks, Charles.
Have a lovely one. It's 27 minutes to 8. Time for us to take a break. See how the roads are looking like as people head down the escarpment towards Naivasha for the Safari Rally and other things. And then we also take a look at the weather forecast. Good morning.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. Spice up your 24/7 around the world, non-stop. This is Spice FM. Classic soul, R&B, smooth jazz, neo soul, and nostalgic ballads.
Make some noise. Yeah.
You're listening to Spice FM. 24/7 around the world, non-stop. This is Spice FM.
Samsung Galaxy just got more awesome. Introducing the new A32, A52, and A72. These awesome devices boast an awesome screen for your larger-than-life views and for you to maximize your viewing pleasure on your favorite content. An awesome camera for awesome, clearer, brighter, sharper pics. And an awesome battery that lasts all day long. Get to your nearest Samsung store or authorized retailer today. The new Galaxy A series. Awesome is for everyone. T's and C's apply.
We've been all through it, you know. We go to school, study hard, get the much-deserved grades and celebrate our graduation. Then reality hits us. We get to the job market and we simply don't know where to start off. Thankfully, by visiting jobs.standardmedia.co.ke, your next career breakthrough could be a click away. Get the best in career advice, employment opportunities, internships, part-time jobs, CV writing and interview coaching. Give your career the much-needed lift on jobs.standardmedia.co.ke.
24/7 around the world, non-stop. This is Spice FM. Classic soul, R&B, smooth jazz, neo soul, and nostalgic ballads.
Make some noise. Yeah.
You're listening to Spice FM. Spice FM.
It's getting hot in here.
Oh, everybody steals. It's better a thief who brings something small back. And I say to myself, there's no better thief. A thief is a thief, period.
All those bribes, how much they're getting per year, how much inconvenience they're causing, as much as you call it a small case, it's worth it to be convicted.
The truth is, we are a tribal nation. Because if we were not tribal, and I want to go back to this, you cannot continue walking around with a mug which is clean outside and it's rotten inside.
We have become a Fuliza country.
We have mortgaged our country because of debt.
You've got one chef working and the assistant chef wakati anatakana koroge unga nini hayuko.
This is the
still in Nairobi this morning, and that will take for some time. We will be seeing highs of 23 and lows of 14 today. In Nyeri, it's cloudy at 12, highs of 19 and lows of 13. 25 will be the high in Nakuru. It's mostly sunny right now at 13. Mostly cloudy conditions at 11 in Eldoret, highs of 23 and lows of 12. It's sunny in Kisumu at 18, highs of 27. 26 will be the high in Kakamega. It's partly sunny at 19 and 24. Light rain in Mombasa, highs of 29 and lows of 23. 28 will be the high in a rainy Malindi this morning, and partly sunny conditions in Kampala will go to highs of 27. 21 degrees and mostly sunny in Dar es Salaam, highs of 29 and lows of 20. It's 11 degrees and clear in Joburg, highs of 19 and lows of 8. 30 will be the high in a mostly clear Lagos at 25, coming down to the lows of just that, and it's clear in Kinshasa at 22 with highs of 31 and back down to lows of 23.
Spice and everything nice, everything nice.
Spice up your life.
All right, still some traffic is headed out west. We still see that. Mombasa Road still seems to be quite packed, guys. Thicker Nairobi route today, not as smooth as we would like to see it. Bagavi Way, also, we have quite some traffic headed out into the city today. So it looks like everywhere you look, there is a spot of traffic. We're going to have to try and get out of it without too much of a headache. The Globe Cinema overpass this morning also clogged up quite some. Wangari Maathai is your go-to road in all things, it would seem. And then coming off of Jogo Road into the city, doesn't look too bad right now. Landis is crawling along slowly and it's not at a standstill, so that always is a good thing. We'll keep an eye on things and how they progress, getting towards the later part of the morning. SpiceFM KE on Twitter. Get in touch should you need to, or text on 40127.
102.5 Spice FM, Kisumu.
Are you ready? Okay.
Spice FM. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right.
It's
94.4 Spice FM.
Conversation continues. In the room this morning is Siti Muga Nduoko Eric Latif. We're having very many conversations that we'll be continuing with. So there's a story that you highlighted when we were looking at the headlines, Siti. Stalled projects in Uhuru and Kibaki era cross 9 trillion shillings. Mm-hmm. This is a very high number. Hundreds of development projects worth 9 trillion shillings started during the Kibaki and Uhuru regimes have stalled, according to disclosures in Parliament. The National Assembly Budget Committee disclosed the projects including roads, office blocks, dams, irrigation projects, which was started in breach of guidelines that require secure funding, raising concerns about the country's planning and public spending decisions. The huge number of stalled projects, which come with delayed payments to contractors, is a major contributor to the cash crunch in the private sector that has ultimately precipitated job losses and closure of businesses. 9 trillion shillings worth of stalled projects is one issue first, right?
Yes.
It means that the government went and started a project somewhere. We want to come up with an abattoir somewhere in Baringo, which is a story that was actually highlighted in the Standard earlier, right?
Mm-hmm.
People have come and said, we need an abattoir here. Government goes and puts in money to do the abattoir. They do the building, but they don't do anything else. That thing stalls. So the community is not using an abattoir, and the money that was released by the government has been used by the government is basically not being put into any other use. In others, it's a government that has started, reached somewhere at foundation level or mid-level, and it just doesn't move. So the intended beneficiaries do not get to fund the project. And the government has already committed money into it. The government has borrowed money to put into that project, and it's paying. So the taxpayer is not enjoying the benefit of this, but it's paying for it. 9 trillion shilling worth of stalled projects. That is a huge number. If you look at how they are cut across, out of the projects that we're talking about, agriculture and lands has 56 billion shillings that's required to complete projects that were started. Education has some 11 billion shillings that's required to complete these projects. Energy and infrastructure, 809 billion shillings. Treasury has projects worth 11 billion shillings pending to be completed. Security requires some 38 billion shillings. Social protection, some 50 billion shillings. Water and environment, some 27 billion shillings. The other big concern here is what Parliament is saying, that this project was started unprocedurally, in that there was no approval and budgetary allocation and necessary appropriation for this project before it started. So who started the project? And what legal basis do they have for starting this project?
So are we saying that of this 9 trillion shillings projects that have stalled, the reason why they have been stalled is because they were initiated unprocedurally, or that they run out of funds along the way, or that they were then said, okay, hold on, we have a number of projects that are going on in the country right now. They started without the proper legal procedure, so stop them.
All those things. Open the can, put all of them inside.
That's the case. So
everything. One, it's a political move that was made by somebody and said, all right, so we are going to allocate this money in the budget and appropriate for it and start a project. Okay? And then the project starts, and somewhere there's lack or loss of political goodwill in terms of change of administrations. In others, there is starting a project knowing full well
that you don't intend to finish it.
All you want is to raise money for your cronies. So start a project, get the money out of the treasury, cooler the money, project does not complete, goes. Others, you start a project that is nowhere in the books in terms of this is the budget that you presented to Parliament or the budget that you presented to the county assembly. It's not there. You start it. And then you get somewhere, you have no more money because now you can't go and get more money from the budget. You only just removed some money from, health, from agriculture, from you kusanyad and put into this one project. And now you have run out of the cash. It stalls. All those things just point to one factor, that there's a planning stage here and there's an implementation stage and there's an oversight stage. How do we get to 9 trillion shillings of stalled projects? And what does that mean to the intended beneficiary, most importantly?
And one of the things that article doesn't actually point out is we have cases where, if you were to go by the suggestions of the IMF and World Bank that we cancel these projects, we then face litigation. Case in point, Aurora and Kimwarer dams. There were 3 Italian firms that were supposed to be involved in the construction of these dams. When we cancelled those particular contracts, they sued us in the International Court of Arbitration for 11 billion Kenya shillings equivalent. Now, again, you want to ask the question, how on earth did you get us into this sort of contractual arrangements? Because as far as we, the citizens, are concerned, they did nothing.
Yep.
And yet, we have evidence, as has been presented in the papers, that money was paid. So you ask, what were we paying for exactly? And we've seen nothing. It lends itself to the very thing that Eric is saying, that in many cases, you have a 360-degree arrangement of how it is. Funds will be allocated for projects, either just simply allocated, money allocated, project not done, or you take it even further. You even ensure that it will collapse so that you can be sued.
Yep.
And then you ensure that the government now is culpable because of the arrangement and the government has to pay.
So, the situation in which the country is currently, having just recently announced a budget that's going through the processes now, that clearly the country is unable to afford, right? That we'll have to have the begging bowl extended in the next few months to ask for help in order to meet the national budget. The situation that the country is in currently, where counties cannot be funded, and let's just be honest, they cannot be funded. This delay that you're seeing is not because somebody has a power play going on here. There just are not enough funds. That they're releasing what they can because that they're releasing what they are because that is what they can at that point. Even though the arrogance comes into play here and there from the National Treasury as you see it, it is because it isn't there. So when we see that there's not enough money to actually put into the things that are necessary to be able to run the country, you can see a direct correlation between these stalled projects and these things that are not happening in the country. And now that's where we now say, Kenyans, open your eyes. Because here is one direct example. These projects that have been stalled, these large numbers that you're looking at, 9 trillion shillings, in some cases where money has already been put in, you're not able to see the end result, where something has been budgeted for, in this case, corruption, unfortunately, so that a few people are able to benefit. And the title of this particular project, you never hear about it again. Now, look at it like this. The problems that the country is facing today, the inability to meet a budget in a fiscal year, the inability to provide citizens with safety nets, for example, you can find all of that in these stalled projects.
It's all here.
Right there. So if you say our answers are going to come from outside, there's going to be an external messiah, it's a lie. It's right here. Where did it go? It's right here. You can't meet the budget, here it is. This is where a lot of the money that has disappeared that could essentially save this country from the problems that it is currently facing economically is lost.
It's
right
just people
here.
just not doing what they're supposed to be doing. Look at what they're saying. The World Bank says 40% of the projects became white elephants during the transition to devolved system of governance. Okay? So projects were started in the Kibaki era, and then functions are devolved, and the county government comes in, and the county government does not prioritize completion of these projects, so it doesn't allocate funds to this particular project. The national government cannot come in. This is a county function. The county government does not see the priority for this, so project dies. 53 projects are dormant because of diverse factors. Litigation, one of them. Way-leave challenges, second. Acquisition of land, and funding suspension by the donor. So court cases is one. Way-leave challenges. Okay, so here now we want to build, but now we don't have way-leave. There's no road reserve. There's no way-leave for power. There's no way-leave for water. There's no. If you wanted to expand, for example, the sewer system in Syokimau, where would the pipes go? If you wanted to expand the sewer system in Kitengela, where would the sewer pipes go?
Where would they end?
Where would they end? Is there a way-leave within Kitengela that can say, okay, so this is actually where the sewer lines pass? Way-leave challenges. Acquisition of land, which is another issue. Funding, Donna looked at it and decided, you know what, guys, suspend funding. Stall project. Now, in all these things, when you look at them, and then you think about the process that is undertaken before a project commences, or the process that should be undertaken, there's planning. We have an entire State Department for planning at the national level, National Treasury and planning, people who are experts on planning and looking at not just today, but future, and saying, so this is what is needed, this is what's required. At the Ministry of Lands, there's planning. At the Ministry of Urban Development, Infrastructure, there is planning. They look at, so what is it? How is this place going to look like in the next 20, 30 years? So let's plan for it. But also, how is this place going to look like in 2, 3 years? So let's also plan for it. At the county level, there's something that whenever a new government comes in, one of the key things that you'll hear being talked about in every meeting and fora of county governments is CIDP. CIDP. We are working on our CIDP. We are reviewing our county integrated development plans in 10-year cycles. It doesn't matter whether it's one government that's coming, the next government that comes in finds a CIDP, and you continue implementing projects using this CIDP. So by the time one government comes in and decides, you know what, these are not my priority ideas, they are basically just going against the CIDP, which is a legal instrument. Which is why now where I'm coming to the question, should these people not just be rounded up? Before we shoot them, we charge them in court for abuse of office, for neglect, for mismanagement of funds, and everything else that we can cobble up.
Eric, this isn't mismanagement.
For looking ugly, for having bad breath, everything. So if you miss one, the next one will land on you.
What we're discussing here, if you look at the perpetration of some of these ills, they fall under the broad category of crimes against humanity.
Yes.
Because do you think it's coincidental that we're talking of a sum of 9 trillion? What's our debt ceiling right now?
It's the same now.
Yes. So if toll projects equals 9 trillion, simple arithmetic, what is it telling you? Do you hit it on the head? Spot on, nail and everything. You can see in one fell swoop where the problems lie. Now, people are responsible for it. When you talk about health services not provided, classes that are so crowded, you think it's a maize field. You think about, I was about to mention roads, and I realized they're doing a fairly good job with roads. But all the ills that you may think of, support for the elderly, support for the infirm, all these things that we keep battling with, deaths that needlessly arrive on the citizenry because the government didn't do what they're supposed to do. You can see the genesis. Now yes.
Sorry, CT. That is why I have an issue when somebody comes and tells me that, even when bodies like the IMF or the World Bank is extending credit to the country, they should also be involved in how they will manage and the conditions upon which they will operate. No, because look at this right here. When all of this was happening, when you have projects which there was no intent to ever complete in the beginning, when you stand on a political promise and tell your people, well, you know what we're going to do? We're going to finish this dam. And essentially what is going to happen, that with this dam, we will be able to ensure food security because farmers will never have to look for things like water to irrigate their crops. With this dam, we'll be able to pipe water to areas so that then we take care of healthcare because people will have running water and hospitals will have running water, which is vital to the administration of healthcare. When you say things like that, without an intent to actually follow it through, you're putting your people out to dry. One. Then because somebody is offering you credit, you want to come and say, actually, then you know what? They should actually be responsible for the management on a local or a national level. Absolutely not. Because you can see this here. When they said they will build dam and they didn't do it. When they said that they were going to work on an irrigation project and they didn't do it. Where were these lending bodies? Where were they? Where were they? It's not their prerogative. The onus lies squarely on the national government, on those who are the custodians on these particular offices and agencies to do the job. Stop it. If you don't intend to do it, don't say that you do because you end up with a little bit more than egg on your face. Look at it now. 9 trillion shillings. That's the budget that was read this year 3 times over.
That is why I'm calling it crime against humanity. This isn't pilfering. The net sum of these activities leads to death. That's what it leads to. People are poor. They can't afford health care. They can't eat. They can't eat properly. There is malnutrition. You just think of anything that you're seeing on a daily basis and which is on the increase. We have COVID discussions, vaccine discussions, can afford, can't afford, not happening, happening. All these things can be put at this particular doorstep. My friend, for there to have been projects worth that amount, what does it tell you?
There was need.
Yes.
At some point, in all of these things, they're coming to some area where there is need. Now,
genuine need.
prioritization, whether the need is urgent or not, is a different matter, but there is need.
And a genuine need. Too.
There's a community that requires a market. There's a community that needs an abattoir. There's a community that needs a road. There's a community that needs power brought closer to them. There's a community that needs this health center developed. A structure is put up and it's called a health center. It has nothing else. Not connected to water, not connected to power, no facilitation in terms of the equipment that's required. Staff are not deployed there, so it's just a shell. Does the community still need a health facility?
Exactly.
They do.
Today they do.
And as far as people are concerned, money has been spent. 30 million shillings has been spent to put up a building.
And then it's not there.
And people are still walking 20, 40, 50 kilometers to the next nearest health facility at the most primary level. And there's somebody who signed off this thing. There's somebody who was a project manager for this. There's somebody who was in charge of the entire project, who was working free and earning a salary. We're on the 25th. They've already received their salary for this month.
Eric.
Sitting pretty.
Somebody
Some
signed
of them
off.
with cash in their houses.
Money was released. Do you not feel a twinge? Do you not even feel a twinge? Does Jiminy not speak in your ear and say, these are the lives of people that's what I keep saying. You don't have to say something in order for somebody to know. Their actions, by their fruits you shall know them. When they tell you how they feel about you, believe them. Believe them. Somebody comes and says, I promise to do this. So this is the promise upon which we build our next government. And then you don't see those things. They are telling you that they do not give the least thought about you. It has nothing to do with you.
Do you remember, was it yesterday? Yesterday, really. We highlighted the story of a lady who works with
the Kenya Rural Roads Authority.
Exactly. Okay. Very high up. Deputy Director. Now, the issue that was highlighted was large sums of money in the hundreds of millions that were used to buy houses in 2 locations in this lovely city of ours.
In days.
Yes. Now, the story, if you, the Business Daily highlighted it and even gave a full-page story of it. It's a position that she had been transferred from and taken to another department, and she actually went to court and fought and was returned to this very position that she's in. Now, yes, she is making the headlines, but this is a drop in the ocean.
It is nothing compared to the grand theft auto that is happening in this country.
By the time you have a deputy director, let's go up that particular chain, shall we? And look at the director. Look at the people who are above her. Do you really think that anything of this nature can be perpetrated without the high-ups knowing? The answer is no.
No. Absolutely no way. It starts from the very top, because the very top are the ones who approve such plans for such projects to commence. They're the ones who approve. And then when the junior officers are doing what the very top has told them to do, which is find a way, you bring me my cut.
Yes.
It
That's what
raises
you do.
very big questions. We'll continue the conversation into the next hour. This is the Situation Room broadcasting on SpiceFM. Where are you around the world? SpiceFM KE, YouTube, Facebook and Twitter. We are live streaming there, and we see very many of you have already logged on, and we thank you very much. Keep it right here. It's now 8 o'clock.
Spice up your life. The latest news from around the world. 94.4 Spice FM.
This is Newswire. I'm Delisa Seto. The process of amending the constitution through the BBI is unconstitutional according to Deputy President William Ruto. He says the law should be followed when amending the constitution as ordered by the High Court when it ruled to ban the entire BBI exercise.
The BBI thing is a bigger danger than just William Ruto. It would be an overkill if it was meant to derail anybody. My position on changing the constitution is that there must be a process that is credible, that is not opaque, that is not subject to manipulation, as the courts recommended.
Still on BBI, and a 7-judge bench has been constituted by the President of the Court of Appeal, Justice Daniel Musinga, to hear the Building Bridges Initiative case. The hearing of the appeal has been scheduled to take place for 4 days consecutively from June 29th to July 2nd, 2021. The 7 judges picked to hear the case include Presiding Judge Daniel Musinga, Justices Rosaline Nambuye, Hannah Okwengu, Patrick Kiage, Gatembu Kairu, Fatuma Sichale and Francis Tuyot. Kenya National Union of Teachers election slated for tomorrow will be through a secret ballot. KNUT Secretary General Wilson Sossion says those intending to vie have until 5 p.m. today to submit their papers, further urging all delegates to be keen so that the elections are not interfered with.
Their nomination papers, the ballot box can hand over the union to the government, or it can ensure that the union is secure in the hands of workers and that the union is strong and is being led by strong leaders. And in this election, the ballot box that we are going, the state is in it. It is the state versus teachers. By the way, my name on the ballot, and with the delegates and the teachers of this country, I'll be in this office by 9 a.m. That's a fact for sure.
Kenyans are angry after finding their names as members in various political parties. Political parties registrar Nyeri says her officer started cleaning up the register and is in talks with the affected political parties over the issue.
I have seen many concerns, and we want to say, as I said earlier, that the reason why we actually put the register out there, we were doing a pilot to see how we can improve the services to political parties and to members of public. So for that reason, therefore, we were looking at people checking out their details from the register, and then also confirming which parties they are registered in.
And 741 people tested positive for COVID-19 from a sample size of 6,955. The positivity rate is now 10.7%, with total confirmed infections now at 181,239. This is Newswire. I'm Denis Aseto.
.5 Spice FM, Kisumu.
So we still have that major traffic outbound from the city today, going towards Naivasha. My Mahu, that route, totally packed today, and adding more vehicles to it as we go along. All right, there's traffic from the Mombasa Road junction all the way into Imara Daima Estate. For some reason, that has slowed down today. So it's backed up then outbound on Mombasa Road. In the Machakos direction. So let's look out for that as well. Coming into the city from Jogo Road was also looking pretty slow, and we will see that continue for some time. Coming out of Westlands and James Gishuru, that issue, Uhuru Highway, remember, from Monday, there will be parts of the Museum Hill ramp that will be closed off. So they've told us in advance of time, and it will be closed off for at least 3 weeks. And then, as they say, until further notice. So let's just be prepared for that. Talk to us through the morning, guys. What is happening in your neck of the woods? SpiceFM KE on Twitter, text 40127.
This is the Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Oko, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latif, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
7, 8. Good morning. It's a happy Friday, wherever you are, the 25th day of June 2021. Welcome to our audience on KTN Home, joining us now until the top of the hour, in addition to those who are tuned in on Spice FM and online. CT, today's proverb.
Right. A man does not go far from where his corn is roasting.
A man does not go far from where his corn is roasting.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this past week, there's been a lot of social media chatter about the safari rally taking place in Naivasha.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's, all the innuendo accusations and counter-accusations about people who will go to Naivasha and who they'll accompany to Naivasha and what happens to those that remain, and what happens to those that go. Whose person are you going with, Naivasha, and all those things. I think that proverb comes in handy.
Where are you leaving your corn roasting as you go to
You know, when you
Naivasha?
started it, I was thinking of Eric wants to talk about crowd control.
Oh, no.
Well, it is still crowd control,
It
but
is?
it isn't the variety of crowd control. I was thinking of number of people on the road, wanting to take pictures of drivers, getting excited, and in
COVID.
short, interfering with the process, okay, in their joy and happiness. Okay? So this one is also creating conversation. However, valid point that you have made. So, which roasted maize are you going with to Naivasha?
And where will you leave yours roasting? Okay.
Whose corn are you chewing, and where's yours? Is it still roasting?
You know,
Right.
this man, by the way, Eric, this is the morning show. These are not adults in the room. It's called Situation Room. But the situation requires some adult talk from time to time.
Kabisa. At the same time, today is Ndu Ako's birthday. Did you know?
It is.
Did you know, Ndu?
Every
Did I know?
self-respecting adult needs to have at least 3 birthdays in a year.
Yes.
And this is her second one.
Today is one of those. Happy birthday, Ndu.
Why, thank you.
Yeah.
Asante.
Congratulations to your parents.
I thank you on my parents' behalf.
Very good. As we continue the conversation, in the previous hour we started the conversation, a story that has been highlighted out of a report of the National Assembly Budget and Appropriations Committee that was looking at the supplementary budget that had been presented by the National Treasury. And they highlighted issues of the number of stalled projects in the country so far. That between the Moi Kibaki years into the Uhuru Kenyatta years, we have stalled projects totaling 9 trillion shillings.
They are beyond 9 trillion.
Over 9 trillion shillings worth of stalled projects.
Yes.
Some of them started during the Kibaki era. Then the new system of government comes in, the devolution. Some of those functions are transferred to devolved units. The county governments do not take up those, so they stall.
Yes,
Others continue at national level, but for some reason they stall. Others are started by this administration, and even before this administration has finished sneezing, they stall. Various issues as to the reason why some of these projects are stalling. Among them, so you started a project and then you realize we don't have land. We need to acquire land, and you have issues about acquisition of the land. Others, starting a project and then you have challenges with way leave. Others, you start a project and then the donor says, well, we'll support you. The donor withdraws. Others, where you start a project and then you get into some legal headwinds. Case goes to court, matter again stalls. Others, you just start the project and you can't explain what happened. Stalled. Now, the National Assembly was raising concern and saying there are many of these projects that have been started, but they were not approved before they started. So it was not budgeted for. It hadn't come into Parliament and been assigned some money. At budget stage, at appropriation stage, not budgeted for. But the project begins. At some point, you see what they do with the supplementary budget. Supplementary budget is brought to Parliament, which is saying, let's reallocate some of these funds. So we had said we're going to give Nduoko 5 billion shillings as health, and now we need some money for Eric because there's a new project at Eric. So let's get 2.5 billion shillings from the health of Ndu and put it into the road of Eric. At that stage. Others, they just go without any of that even happening, to the tune of 9 trillion shillings and above. And the question that we spoke of and what we were saying earlier is the people who are responsible for all these things, from planning to budgeting to commencing a project as a project manager, as an officer in charge of implementing this project, and then you see it stall. What responsibility do they bear?
For the failure? Yes, 100% responsibility. Because even before going to and saying that who's responsible for this, is that it then would it then is the reality that you can do whatever you want without even recognizing the rule of law in this country. You can do whatever you want. So long as it is going to be of some kind of monetary value or benefit to you, you can do what you want. So here you are talking about public funds then being applied to a project for which there was never an intention to complete, for which there is no approval, the way that you are constitutionally bound to get approval on some of these projects. You just go ahead and do it any which way you want, spend the money, budget the corruption, pay it out. Okay, then maybe you bring one brick and put it down and say, project has commenced. Whether anybody's going to follow you up after that, it's not going to happen. I bet you that some of these projects that you're even looking at now, they were never even gazetted. Nobody even knew where they were supposed to be taking place. Nobody knew who was responsible for them, under which state department it was being handled. Nobody knew. So for me, the scarier thing is that anything can happen, doesn't seek approval, doesn't seek the necessary constitutionally bound proceedings for it to happen, and can just go ahead and happen. And all you will get later is an announcement in the paper to say, well, there are stalled projects. Meanwhile, you have a budget year on year that you're unable to meet. It blows my mind. You're unable to meet your budget. Last year, it was not met. Last year in May, the World Bank gave money to meet the budget of the previous year. Let's not forget. This year, the budget as it is, where are we going to get it from, is the question that's still hanging in the air like a misplaced balloon. We do not know. But there are projects in this country for which money had been allocated that will probably be able to meet your national budget. Think about it like that, and it should scare the socks off of you. It actually should.
You know one thing? That thing of a project starts and continues and there are people and nobody knows about it. In this government, impossible. Impossible. It's impossible for a project to commence without some form of documentation somewhere.
But the people who know are few, and that's what I'm saying. The people who know about it are few. The general population who now is privy to this information today, that there's 9 trillion shillings of sunken projects somewhere, did not know. The people who knew about it at that time, or who knew about it that there's documentation available, are very few. And those are the people with the ability to sweep it under the carpet and pray, cross your fingers, that nobody knows. Very few.
Government processes are really not secretive. And for these things to happen, you require people who know those processes.
Yep.
So they know what to initiate, what to do, and even how to circumvent it.
Yep.
Or how to hide it so that nobody really
because each of these expenditures, believe me, will come under the scrutiny of the Auditor General at some point.
Yes.
With all this government expenditure, you're going to have to report it. So they kick this thing off, as you correctly put it, and do. But with the thing is intent. The sole purpose is not to have it completed. Now, we're talking about many of these projects that were begun in the Kibaki era. It was the second term of Kibaki, right? Which meant, as far as development projects go, they are supposed to cross over from one government to the other. Because some of them
can't be finished in one term.
No, even in 10 years, even 50 years. It's an ongoing project. 2017, there was an escalation because with politics, and with an African country and with Kenya specifically, people want to present themselves as those who are bringing development. So there's an increase in infrastructure projects lumped onto the others which had not been completed and which there are no intentions of completing. But you see, the gem here is, if it was started, you budget for it. But you're not going to complete it, as you say. You know very well. The idea is we are continuing the project, but the thing doesn't move. And then you lump it on your own. I'm thinking of, you're talking about 15 years, give or take. 9 trillion. It's a colossal amount of money.
I said this year's budget is what?
3.6.
3.6 million.
Trillion,
sorry. Now take that 9 trillion. You can do 2.5 years if you maintain this same budget. 3 and 2.5 plus some years. You would not have to look for that money outside. Ukuyatani would not be sweating from his brow, asking, now where is this money going to come from? So now the problems that we want to look outside and say, oh, COVID, or world economy having been depressed, and that is why the country is suffering. This is it. That the problems that the country is currently facing economically and is not able literally to make ends meet, to the point where Kenyans are not able to afford Kenya, could have been avoided. And there's no worse situation that an entire country and its citizens are suffering from something that could have been avoided, that the money did not get lost internally, that money is right here, the money that could essentially fuel this economy, the money that could essentially fuel development in this country, the funds that are direly required to be able to sort some things out is right here. If that doesn't scare you, I don't know what would.
It points to a very big failure of systems somewhere.
Big time.
Because as a country, we have serious systems that have been established for accountability purposes, for oversight purposes. And when a project begins, it's financed, it's implemented without the necessary approvals in place. There's a failure of some accountability organ somewhere. When the National Treasury behaves like it's a whistleblower, it only looks at it and raises it and puts it in a budget, in a report, but then you go ahead and you debate and you approve what the National Treasury was asking. And all you do is raise a question in a budget and raise concern. And
whistleblower on itself.
Yes. And yet the National Assembly has been given a job by the citizens of Kenya through the Constitution to be the oversight body, to represent the people. All you do is raise concern in a report and you go ahead and pass it. You're basically sweeping it under the carpet. You haven't demanded accountability. You haven't demanded to be told why this project started without your approval. You haven't sought the people to be held accountable and responsible for doing that, for breaking the law. You still are saying, okay, yeah, what do you want to spend this time? 3.6 trillion. Yeah, but you guys, all these projects that you started, some of them you started without planning. It raises serious concerns. Do you people have planning departments? Anyway,
shika hii pesa.
Chukua pesa. But mchunge sana. That's all our National Assembly has done with this. And the Senate as well, because these money issues, they go to both. Our Parliament has failed. It's only writing it in reports. Kanini Kega's Committee of Budget and Appropriations should not just be writing it in reports. It should be writing in reports and also demanding accountability and saying, we are not going to approve further allocation to this until you tell us what is the fate of this. It's the IMF that's coming to tell us, by the way, you guys, you need to, we are giving you this money, you need to stop. Come and tell us which of these you're actually going to cancel and say they are no longer in the books as projects. Our National Assembly cannot do that. Yet we have given the National Assembly all the powers necessary to actually do what IMF is doing on our behalf now.
What is the reported cost of the SGR railway?
450 billion.
Precisely. Now, in 2002, when President Daniel Arap Moi left office, our total debt was 630 billion. Just so that you get a perspective. A few 100 billion shy of the cost of that railway. When President Kibaki left, it was 1.8 trillion. But the president had managed to wean us off this nonsensical debt cycle. 90% of what we needed to do in this country was being financed by us. And that amount constituted something like 42.3% of our GDP. Right now, fast forward it. Now, my friend, we are in a pickle. And the pickle wouldn't be a pickle. It would probably just be a raw mango, okay? But it's a pickle because the money is owed, which means we had it, we've expended it, but there's nothing to show for it. Except the very thing we didn't want and we thought we'd alleviate. What we have to show for it is increased poverty. What we have to show for it is the sort of rising inequality that you really wish had not been there. There's this myth about the growing middle class.
Yep.
Okay? And this growing middle class, which has put us at the crosshairs with lenders, which means we are no longer a third world banana republic, which we actually are. We're supposed to be a middle income country. if you ask every Kenyan, do you feel that you're a middle-income country? They'll tell you a resounding no, we don't feel like a middle-income country. But that's where we are. Now, we know exactly what has been happening. But the thing that doesn't seem to have sunk is how it is, and Ndu has done an excellent job of presenting it. These figures we keep talking about represent the problems that you currently have as a Kenyan. Because this money, used as it ought to have been, would have guaranteed that these things that we keep talking about are not what they are. We'd have problems, but not on this scale.
If we paint a picture and look at the things that citizens are complaining about today, and I mean, in a short while we'll have conversations with doctors complaining about how they've not been paid at county level, right? This has been a conversation that has been in the limelight forever. We're talking about the tens of kilometers that people have to walk to get to the nearest health facility, and then even thereafter, you're not assured of the medical treatment that you need because the facilities just don't exist. In this day and age, we're still talking about maybe we can make it possible for health workers around the country to have a stipend that they would then go about from place to place to see how they can help people be more invested in their healthcare. And even that stipend across the country is not possible. We're talking about 2,000 shillings in a month. We had the deputy governor of Nyeri here who told us, I said, you know what we're trying to do is see if we can come up with a little bit of money so that maybe health workers can assist us in trying to make health better at the county level. We have been woeing about the same things for 10 years. The same problems that people have been talking about, just look at it in that 10 years ago, are the same problems people are talking about today. What kind of progressive leadership or government are you talking about? That 9 trillion shillings will get lost somewhere in the country? And you're talking about a depressed economy? And the answer is in your hands. I say it again, it blows my mind. Somebody says something without an intent of doing it, and you're holding the very lives of your people at ransom. It is. It's akin to crimes against humanity.
Do you know what
it is? People are dying.
You know, in tandem with what you're saying, what I find fascinating is that these are debts that we have been paying faithfully. You know what that equals? It equals a citizenry that actually pay their taxes and who can be relied on to work hard to generate the sort of income that can generate the taxes, that can generate the money that we use for repaying. So citizenry do their part. But what we get in return for doing our part is you're taking for granted in the worst way possible.
Plus a kick in the pants to boot.
Yes.
Yeah. Plus that. And to remain, you know what? To remain silent about it and not talk about the fact that Kenyans are aware of what is going on is even a greater injustice to the entire situation. To say that here we are and that you know what is going on, you know that public funds are not being used in the way in which they should be, you know that it would have been better if you had even seen the outcome of some of these projects. But to look at a situation like this, to see it in the news, to see it being reported, and then keep silent about it is almost, to me, worse than the initial act.
You know, Martha Karua had it spot on when she says the thief is a thief, because you think that the so-called entrepreneurs and all these people who are pilfering are just stealing money. They're not. They are stealing every opportunity that you should have. They're stealing your health facilities. They're stealing all the progress that you planned for your child. They're stealing all the benefits that university students should have. They're stealing all the support that the government could give to farmers and the processes that they go through. This is what they're stealing, which means you who is involved in whatever sector, it's direct theft to you. You may not see so, but it means your livelihood is slowly being taken away from you, which means your life is also being slowly taken away from you as you watch.
That's very true. Dr. Andrew Sula says, sorry guys, the so-called IMF has caused us a lot of suffering to civil servants in the past via those notorious structural adjustment programs. They have already started freezing payments. Yes, we've seen this SRC has recommended a freeze of increase of salaries for civil servants for a duration of time. But you see, that's the point I'm making. The point here is, We have people that have been elected and are paid by taxpayers on a daily basis.
Paid well.
Paid very well. Facilitated to travel back and forth within the country and outside the country.
Allowed to have grants.
Facilitated to live in good houses in Nairobi.
Buy
Facilitated
houses.
to drive good cars, go to parliament and sit there, and we even pay them an allowance so that they can sit in parliament. What do? They come up with a report that says, hey, these stalled projects are many.
9 trillion.
9 trillion, that's a lot. And then they go ahead and approve a budget. Okay? Whereas what they could be doing is demanding of the executive to see how are you going to contain a rise of this particular stalled projects. The number of projects that you came to us and said you wanted to start in the last financial year, how many did you start? In the previous year, how far are they? What are the milestones? This same Committee of Budget and Appropriations has previously even gone to Parliament and said, look, this Big Four agenda that you keep telling us that is the focus of your budget, it does not have an implementation plan. So as members of Parliament, in our job, in our role as oversight, we have nothing against which to judge the performance of the Big Four because we don't know the milestones. So where should we be in food security by this time? Where should we be in agriculture, in manufacturing, in healthcare by this time? Where should we be? Parliament has basically written a report and said, because of that, we don't know. And yet they go ahead and approve budgets. That's all they do. They have become whistleblowers. This is Whistleblower Week. 290 guys in Parliament are whistleblowers.
They are whistleblowing on themselves.
On their own.
What utter nonsense.
Failings. And that's why now you see IMF coming in and saying, okay, guys, you want money? Hey, you guys, you have so many stalled projects. What do you want to do with these stalled projects? Questions that should have been asked by our own members of Parliament.
That's what I'm saying.
And had those questions been asked, the situation that we are in with IMF wouldn't have arisen.
We wouldn't be there. We wouldn't be there.
Because the footing on which the Kibaki government left this particular government, we were not dependent on the IMF or World Bank or whoever else is supposed to let us. We were not.
And yet here we are. Let's take a break. Jobs.standardmedia.co.ke. This is a website where jobs are listed on a daily basis. It's managed and run by the Standard Group. And when organizations come and list for jobs here, you can be sure that the Standard Group has done the background checks. So these are genuine and legitimate jobs. Jobs.standardmedia.co.ke. KCB Bank is looking for a business development manager. The Coca-Cola Company is looking for a channel executive senior manager, IC. Save the Children is looking for a nutrition sensitive advisor. HEO is looking for various positions: vendor support, vendor acquisition and management, customer support. Taus is looking for an underwriting manager, and very many other jobs as well that have been listed by other organizations. The World Bank is looking for a senior economist. Apply to any of these jobs and all the best. And if you don't find any job that is relevant to you today, just subscribe. You'll receive an SMS or an email whenever a job that is relevant to you is listed. Good morning.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. Spice up your life. 24/7, around the world, non-stop. This is SpiceFM.
Hello.
Halo, umesikia?
Nimesikia nini?
Hujasikia habari? Hebu wacha nikuambie. Kile kimetokea.
Hello? Hello? Hello?
Don't wait for hearsay. Dial star 550 star 2 hash to read the Nairobian e-paper from the convenience of your mobile phone for only 20 shillings from your telecom line and stay up to date, the hottest talk of town with no additional charges.
Classic soul, R&B, smooth jazz, neo soul, and nostalgic ballads.
Make some noise. Yeah!
You're listening to Spice FM. 24/7, around the world, non-stop. This is Spice FM.
What is the best gift to celebrate a birthday?
Cash, of course.
What if I told you that you can get cold, hard cash for celebrating a birthday? This June, I, Olivia Otieno, is giving 10,000 shillings to 41 lucky Spice FM listeners to celebrate my 41st birthday. That's right. This June, 41 lucky SpiceFM listeners will get 10,000 shillings cash. All you need to do is SMS the word cash to 29599. That's cash to 29599. And if your SMS is number 41 or number 1041 every Monday to Friday, you walk away with 10,000 shillings cash. Each SMS costs 10 shillings. Terms and conditions apply. Go to spicefm.co.ke for more details.
24/7 around the world, non-stop. This is Spice FM.
Kubash Hood Edition is here, and we are all about the youth. They are young, energetic, ambitious, and they are the future. Kubash Hood Edition is all about creating brighter futures for young people, empowering them from issues mental health, peer pressure, innovation, and even parenting. Our show gives young people the practical and insightful support they need. From different segments from dance battles, shout-outs, Artist of the Week, to even Gava Corner. Kubash Hood Edition. We help them in building their confidence and motivation so they can continue to dream big. Kubash Hood Edition. Coming to a hood near you. Live on KTN Home every Saturday, 1:30 p.m. to 3:30 p.m.
Classic soul, R&B, smooth jazz, neo soul, and nostalgic ballads.
Mostly cloudy conditions in Nairobi at 16, highs of 23 and lows of 14. It's going to be cloudy in Nyeri at 14, highs of 19 and lows of 13 today. Sunny conditions in Nakuru at 15, highs of 25. 23 will be high in a mostly cloudy Eldoret. It's a hazy morning in Kisumu, 21 degrees, highs of 27 today. 20 degrees and partly sunny conditions in Kakamega, highs of 26 and lows of 15. 29 will be the high in rainy Mombasa. It's also raining in Malindi at 26, highs of 28. 27 will be the high in Kampala. It's partly sunny at 20. 29 is what Dar es Salaam will look at its high today. Mostly sunny at 23. Sunny at 12 in Johannesburg, highs of 19. 30 will be the high in Lagos, where it's raining now at 25. And partly sunny conditions in Kinshasa at 22, with highs of 31 and lows of 23.
Spice FM. Nyeri. Spice up your life.
Nairobi is where we see a lot of traffic, and we also saw earlier inbound on Mombasa Road quite some, and it still is the case till now. We will see pockets of traffic around the city throughout this morning, that is for sure. The expressway continues with its construction, and that means that it slows things down considerably, especially coming out of Westlands. A lot of folks complaining about that. James Gishuru, Uhuru Highway is going to have that problem today. The expressway continues to do that, but you can use the Red Hill Link Road. That is an option to get out and into the city. The Southern Bypass, again, go out in order to get in. Spice FMKE, that's how you can get to us on Twitter. Text on 40127. Let's keep things moving this Friday.
Thank you.
The political class, the contestants, everybody is trying to outsteal the other.
Remorse is not taught in any school. Manners is something you get from your mother. You don't get it from your political party.
Why are we so unfocused as a country? Why are we spending money and resources, yet we have real challenges in this country?
This coronavirus pandemic should teach us one thing, that universal healthcare is critical. Because at this point, whether you have a medical card that covers you, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Kenya's biggest conversation continues in the Situation Room this morning is CT Muga Ndu Oko, and I'm Eric Latif. We are discussing what's happening in our country. So we've looked at 9 trillion shillings plus of stalled projects in just 2 administrations. In the final term of President Mwai Kibaki and in the 2 terms of President Uhuru Kenyatta's administration and devolution. Some of those projects are stalled at the county level. Some are stalled at the national level. And when we talk about accountability, which I want to play a clip of the conversation that we were having the day before yesterday with our guest host, Wanjiru Gekonyo. And it was about accountability and citizens seeking accountability for what needs to be done, what ought to be done, and then saying, you know what, we just need to get that information, gather the information, what we're getting from Parliament, what we see from other quarters as well, and demanding accountability for the people who have wronged us. Listen to what she said.
The accountability process is not based on, we know the court will give us this ruling. Our role is to get the evidence, follow the due process, and to expect that the mechanisms that exist will do what they need to do. But beyond that, there is something called social sanction. If once that information is available and people know that there were violations, that really economic sabotage was committed, the people of Kenya then will begin to exercise their options. When you're in a state of capture, and I've shared this before, because we're in a state of capture, the judiciary is under duress, parliament is in the pocket of the executive, you don't sit and wait for the regime to topple itself. It will never do so. You must act, get the evidence, pursue the mechanisms, mobilize the public, and let's see what happens. We do our best, and the citizens will surprise you. They'll be the ones to come up in arms.
Let's surprise ourselves then.
What do you do with this information? Because here it is. It's not being hidden. It's likely that nobody knew about it before. And when I say nobody, I'm talking about the citizens now, in general. Right?
Well, we see them, but we just don't, because the project are started in our communities, right? So, a project is started somewhere. There is cutting of trees because a dam is going to be built. You can see, and they've put a sign there. This is the project, the contractor, and all. Which department, the state department is in charge. You see it. We see them. We see a health center that has been put up. We see a school that has been built. We see an abattoir that has been built. We see this tannery that was put up under the Big Four agenda just down the road in Katani. And then later they come and say, you know, that place is a swamp, huh? We need to relocate it.
So then what it becomes...
It became a swamp after you had put up the building.
Then it becomes avenues over which you can now, give a laugh and then shake your head over in remorse and say, things are really bad. They started this thing, it didn't finish. Then you find stadiums where there's a tuft of grass growing there. Again, you say somewhere where a tannery was supposed to exist and it's a swamp today. So we see these things, but don't speak about them and don't ask questions because...
because. Alan in Nairobi is calling in. Good morning, Alan.
Good morning.
How are you doing, old chap?
I'm fine. Happy birthday, Nduo.
Why, thank you, Alan. Asante sana.
Why were you born so beautiful? I'll leave it there.
Wow.
Now, I just wanted to make a contribution. Part of this problem is about mismanagement, and corruption and mismanagement. What happens is that between in this period, Kibaki, Uhuru Kenyatta, there's been an explosion of something you will call contractor negotiated loans or unsolicited projects. What happens is a contractor comes into town and signs an MOU with a ministry, says he wants to do a project at Kenya Pipeline.
Yep.
And then you say, we don't have money for it. This is what I'm going to organize for you a loan. I'm going to organize for you export credit. So because they are saying they're giving us the money, we bring it in. We bring it in, and it was not in our plan.
Yep.
Then what do? We ask them to sign a finance agreement with the Treasury. We will have introduced a project into the budget which we did not
plan for,
which was not in the original budget.
Yep.
So what happens in the middle of it, of implementation? Other things come up. You have whaley guys say that we have not been paid. Yeah. You have guys who are looking for land compensation, they are not being paid.
Yep.
So the project stalls. That's part of the problem. This corrupt and unsolicited projects, they have just hit the roof in the last 10 years.
And then the person who lent you the money goes to court demanding their pound of flesh.
That's what happens. And you see the Arrow one is also very interesting. Because what happens is that these things are structured in a way that they provide for payments of initial payments, advance payments, huge advance payments, which you get your kickback out of there. But once the kickback is paid, the raison d'etre for the project is over. So it's parked there as a nini. As we speak, we know we have a lot of power in Ontario.
Yes, we do.
But in the western part of Kenya, the Kisumu western part, including parts of North Rift, they have major supply problems. And we have had to import. We are importing from Uganda. Yet we have a lot of power in Ontario. So they have been building this line called Lesos. For the last 10 years, called Lesos. We are doing Lesos Kericho. And if you'll find them putting money in there to accelerate the work.
Yep.
But they know clearly that the Kaleos around Kericho have refused. You can't pass here until you pay us land compensation.
Yep.
Yet they continue paying. They continue paying for an acceleration. The bloody thing has stalled. In fact, when HE went down there, we thought it would open up, and so we keep importing power because nobody has paid. Paid
for the power lines.
Compensation. Yeah, nobody has paid compensation for the land.
The bottom line of this, Alan,
yeah,
is now when the information such as this comes to the public, because this is not the first time. I mean, people know about stalled projects. We have seen Stadia starting and Stadia now being completed. We've seen all of these projects in our communities. What is it that the citizens can then do to demand accountability, completion, or just answers for this?
No, that's a big question. I can't claim to have answers for that because then you're going to prescribe medicine that may not work. Because it ends with politics. Change the guys at the top. Change everybody at the top. Now, the other thing they do is something called variations of projects. I get this project, and I say that in the middle of it, I found rocks. I can't move this road beyond these rocks. You must give me more money. Then the government says, I didn't have money we didn't know there was a rock there. So they keep arguing and they keep arguing. I run away, I leave my machinery there, and I start charging for the machines. Yeah, you end up with a massive pending bill.
That's true.
And most of them are corruptly contracted projects. So we are really talking about corruption. That lady you're talking about at Kera, those large amounts
she's accused
banking
of.
Around you. You think they are for projects that were completed? No. They are for projects like the ones you're talking about here. Rest my case, old chap.
Thank you very much,
Thank you, Alan.
Thank you, Alan. 0719-012-600. Let's hear from you as well. I mean, when we talk about demanding accountability as well, I start from Member of Parliament because we have a parliament that has a role of oversighting the executive. We also have made this parliament, unlike other parliaments, we've actually given more powers to this parliament in determining the budget of this country, in determining how much money goes to each specific project, and also in determining how much we are taxed to finance the operations of the government. And when the parliament now just sits back and observes as all these things are happening, I have serious issues with that. And I just don't see why we should even be having a conversation about, there's a budget committee, there's a finance committee, there's an entire National Assembly, and there's a Senate, and they watch as money is being stolen. All they do is write in reports because the technocrats who have been employed by the Parliamentary Service Commission, who sit in the budget office, have advised. They have done their job. They have advised the committee, look, there's an issue. So members of parliament, just because they do not want to appear as if they don't listen to their experts, they add it in the report, but that's all they do. John Jeroge in Mombasa, good morning.
Good morning, Situation Room.
Good morning.
I'd like to flip the coin.
Flip it.
And I think we have a societal problem. And the societal problem stems from the people that we are. We are the taxpayers. We elect these guys. So it's upon us to go and look for what they are doing and do the things they're supposed to do. But I happen to meet former MP somewhere, and we had this conversation, and I understood where the problem lies. This guy told me that when he wants to become an MP, he has to have a substantial amount of money. And this amount of money is the money he'll go around giving the youth and people. So when he gets the MP position, the people start lining up in his house. Bills, hospital bills, school fees. So this guy, it's all about the money he gives to the people in his constituency. So he asked me, do you expect me to go to parliament, sit down, and then look for a way to formulate policies that will benefit you when I bought you? You understand?
That is such arrogance, man. What?
Yes, that's the feeling of entitlement they feel is because they give us some money to elect them, so they feel entitled to go out there and create ways to eat because it was kind of investment in the first place. And I looked at it.
So the person is basically saying, I bought this position. I'm no longer answerable to you.
Yes, that's the arrogance. That's the arrogance they came with or they go to parliament. And now...
This friend of yours, how many terms did he serve as MP?
I think he served one or twice.
Yes.
2 years.
No, sounds like someone who would serve one term.
Yes. And now he told me the reason why we have parliamentarians at the pocket of the big guys is because they were elected using that ticket. For the people who are there with those committees, they have to be given those positions by the leaders themselves. And when somebody gives you something, you have to dance to his tune.
Actually, what we're trying to say is you don't have to dance.
That's the thing. That you don't have to dance. That as you continue to dance, this is the situation that we see happening today. I've got to ask a question. And I keep going back to this. In the private sector, not 2-3 years, not even maybe 2-3 months, and they ask you, hold on a minute, City, what is it that you have been doing here the last few months? Then you say, well, I've attended a meeting or two and I've presented a report. What do? They will put you on a performance review and say, we've given you a certain amount of time to be able to show us that this job description that we have given to you, that you're actually fulfilling it. Should you not fulfill it, what happens next?
Dismissal.
You're not doing your job.
Dismissal.
Your job was not to go there and lick the boots of the executive. You're not doing a job.
That's true. Jimmy in Malindi, good morning.
Good morning, too. How are you?
Very well, thanks.
Fine, thank you. Okay, going straight to the point, I can say is that the Kenyan voter has been denied a lot and all by himself. See, we are failing to recall these MPs. You see, because clearly and completely, it is very clear in our constitution. And please, if possible, if you can get some time, read this constitution clause, Article 94, about who has the. Let me talk it in Kiswahili so that all people can understand that, because even some people here in Malindi, a lot of them are watching. I watch and also listen to SpiceFM. It says that bunge hufuata mamlaka yote. I quote. I'm quoting from my head. I don't have a constitution to read now here, but I'm quoting from my head. So I'll just say the way it says, but I may not exactly go with the commas and the full stop. Mamlaka yote yako kwa wananchi wa Jamhuri ya Kenya. Ndio wenye mamlaka yote. The sovereign yao. Mamlaka haya wamekabidhia wabunge kwa kuwapigia kura kikatiba. Bunge hufuata uanuai wa taifa, the interest of the nation, unaona? Na kuwakilisha nia ya mwananchi, and to represent the will of the people, na kutekeleza mamlaka yao, kwa kutekeleza mamlaka yao kikamilifu. Mamlaka yao kikamilifu ni yapi? Now I end about the. Now I'll finish about the constitution. What I'm trying to say is that mamlaka yao kikamilifu, it is to represent the will of the people. So what is happening here in Kenya I'm telling you, the parliament that we have, it is unconstitutional, rotten to the core. And when I say this, I say it supported by the constitution of this country or of this nation. Why? The county government were created, so they were made. We made the county government so that we can have the MCAs who will go down to the people, have public participation, represent the will of the people in the county assembly. And from the county assembly, they were supposed to take what the will of the people is through the MP of that region to the parliament. And the parliament, who is the member of the parliament, was supposed to represent the will of the people. So, when it comes to the issue of the BBI, when the parliamentary, the member of parliament, they passed the BBI, they passed it as their own will. It was their own will. They are citizens.
Jimmy, nikuulize tafadhali.
Okay?
Msamahani, I'd like to ask a question, Jimmy.
Yes?
Can I ask you a question?
Please.
As a citizen of Kenya, do you actually feel that those whom we have elected actually represent you or represent us as they should? A simple question.
Wapi? Where? They represent their own bellies. They represent their own interest. They don't come to the core on the ground and listen
what recourse do we have?
And the next thing that they are doing, they want this country to go into a revolt. They want to press the Mwananchi as much as they can to create a situation where the Mwananchi will go to a revolt and then the armed forces, the nation, to be taken like with the majeshi.
Jimmy, so what recourse do we have as citizens?
They just want to create a situation where the Mwananchi will go so much hungry and so much angry, then the military will take over the leadership.
Hear you very well. So Jimmy, I'm asking.
Go back to the Mwananchi where the
Jimmy has gone off completely on. He is completely feeling it. He's getting all the emotions rolled up into one.
I think it's good. Yes, that one is rolling downhill.
Yes. What recourse do we have as citizens then? I mean, if you feel that for this particular case that we're talking about today, more than 9 trillion shillings of stalled projects that have started, communities should have benefited, the intended beneficiaries are not reaping from the fruits of this, but the projects were started by their government and they've stalled. What do we do when you see that this is happening? What is it that you can do? There's a clause of recalling members of parliament, which, as we've said before, it's fraught with very many roadblocks. Not easy.
That forms an academic discussion, really, because the question, we've asked this question many times on this show, but how many people are willing at your own level to simply say no to things that you know are wrong? Just say no. For instance, you have this cousin who you knew got employed 3 years ago and is building a house that cost 10 million shillings, and they're happily telling you about it.
Yep.
Do you ask this person, what is this that you do? Because you are employed by the government. We know you're employed by the Ministry of Planning, or you are employed by the Ministry of Roads or the Ministry of Health. What other business do you do to be able to, because you've only been employed for,
how come your fortunes have turned so?
Yes, what is it that you're able to do?
What is it?
Yes. And if he comes to the rural area and there's a committee that is organizing Harambe in the local church, and he comes to contribute, and he gives the equivalent of half his year's salary as a contribution, do you question and say, Ndugu, this money is good, we thank you, but how exactly
are you getting it?
How are you able to generate this sort of? Because so long as people feel that no one is going to ask them, with the silence, it's like a seal of approval. It's like we're saying it is okay.
That's it.
We're not going to ask you.
Bottom line, accountability starts at that level.
Yes, it does.
And it should be starting at that level. As long as you don't call your cousin, your sister, your parent to account and ask them, but why?
Yes.
As long as you're not making them feel that what they're doing is wrong, saying that I'll take you to court, you've left them there. You've gone to court.
No. You're avoiding the issue.
You're avoiding the issue. Time for us to take a break. 4 minutes to 9 o'clock. Kenya's biggest conversation continues on SpiceFM. Time for us to say goodbye to our audience on KTN Home. You can switch to SpiceFM 97.7 in Malindi. Nyeri is 90.9. Eldoret 96.7. 96.0 in Nakuru. Kisumu 102.5. 87.9 in Mombasa. And 94.4 in Nairobi. We're here until 10 o'clock every weekday morning, 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. Good morning.
Sugar and spice and everything nice, just the way you like it.
The Spice Drive.
Did you have a great day? I hope you did. I intend to make it better from 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. I'm going to be taking you home nice and chill. Everyone is welcome aboard. The hashtag is Spice Drive and, of course, SpiceFMKE on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
The Spice Drive with Monique. The official soundtrack of getting you where you need to be. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM.
From those that you have already given the job. When those that you elected come back to you and they start giving you stories here and there, and they say, now this time we are going to move from this particular political vehicle into the next political vehicle because it's the one that's going to deliver. You should be asking them, but why haven't you delivered?
What do we do with these projects that you said you're going to start and were never started?
And if you were not able to complete this one that we see clearly in front of us, how then are you going to be able to tell us that you're going to do something better in the future? If this has been your track record and you're coming back to us and telling us, give me another opportunity, I should be shutting you down right here, right now and saying absolutely not. That your track record is what then should fuel your decision for the future, for my decision for the future.
We don't ask these questions, and that is why politician upon politician, senior or junior, prominent or not, keep telling you about the future, what we want to do.
Yes, what we will do, what we will institute.
What we want to ensure, what I am going to do. And you're already in a position to do the things that you're saying you're going to do in the future.
And there's a graveyard of stalled projects.
Are the ones who are responsible for failure, the current failure. Not me. It's those others.
Yes. So the discussion of what you can do, doesn't come into it. It's what you're going to do. The discussion of what you ought to have done because you had the means to doesn't come into the discussion. It's what you're going to do. And the question is simple. You have been in a position, you still are in a position, and you're not doing these things. So this future that you are saying, the promises that you're making, explain how it's going to happen, because it's not happening now. It has not happened. So how will it happen in the future?
Keep the hope alive. Come on.
The hope is being dashed. The hope is being dashed by every new dawn.
It is this new vehicle. You see, that other vehicle was not working. Okay? So we are creating this new vehicle. Or we are bringing these new people into the alliance. Now, this is what is going to deliver. The other one, it's because there were
vehicles
some bad
don't
seeds.
move on
the
their
driver
own.
is the same. The driver is the one who moves the vehicle, and it is the same driver.
Was you see, the conductor.
The same driver.
The conductor was telling me to stop for very long instead of helping me move the vehicle. That's where the problem was. And this other one tells you, you see me, I was just a conductor. When I tell the driver, twende,
I'm not the one stepping on the gas.
and the driver does not step on the gas. Now, in this other vehicle, I'm upgrading. You're going to make me the driver. Okay? And I will carefully choose who the conductor is going to be so that this vehicle will move. You give me the opportunity to see. Good morning. It's 9 a.m.
The latest news from around the world. 94.4 Spice FM.
Because it's Newswire, I'm Dennis Aseto. Jubilee government's development record during the first term when things were rosy between President Uhuru Kenyatta and his Deputy William Ruto stands out. Deputy President William Ruto, in an interview with KTN News, said his government did more during the first term as opposed to after the handshake.
I was part, to a large extent, of what happened in first term.
Yeah.
And in my rating, we did very well in our first term. As an insider in this administration, I know what works. I know what works. And I have participated in making things work.
The outrage expressed by Kenyans who found themselves registered in various political parties without their consent has forced the political party's registrar Nderitu to swing into action to rectify the situation. She says while the process of checking the names is a private affair, Kenyans chose to go public, forcing the body to investigate the matter.
The checking of details was actually supposed to be private, but it is the users who made it public, which is upon them to make the choice. We are not the original owners of that data. The recruitment of membership to a political party is done by the political parties themselves. We keep the register of members as provided in the Political Parties Act, especially for those running for elections and other issues. Then we are expected to check and confirm their membership and then report the same to the IBC.
741 people tested positive for COVID-19 from a sample size of 6,955. From the cases, 698 are Kenyans, while 43 are foreigners. 99 patients recovered from the disease, 52 from the home-based and isolation care program, while 47 were discharged from various health facilities countrywide. A 12-year-old girl has been admitted to Maralal Referral Hospital in Samburu County after she was allegedly raped by two men at her home in Lepartuk village. The girl, who is a grade 2 pupil, was at their home where she lived with her grandmother when the incident took place. The two suspects are already in police custody.
Wale vijana wawili walikuwa wanafanya hiyo kitendo, tumepata kushika na tutapeleka kotini. Inainisha wenyeji wa Samburu ambaye wameendelea hata hii maneno ya kuoana mapema amewaja, lakini vijana apate niimise hawachana na hii maneno ya defilement. Sababu mtoto huyu msichana ni ya miaka 12, ako darasa la pili. It is very embarrassing and terrible.
7-time world champion and current FIA World Rally champion leader Sebastian Ogier won Safari Rally's curtain-raising super special stage in Kasarani as the 4-day racing bonanza revved off yesterday. The Frenchman took a time of 3 minutes 21.5 seconds to cover the 4.84-kilometer stretch. This is Newswire. I'm Denis Aseto.
All right, things seem to be settling down in some parts. Mombasa Road, not as heavy as it was before, but we're still seeing some traffic there headed into the city. Langata Road doesn't look too bad right about now, coming in through then going to Bagathi Way. That's not bad either. Coming out of Westlands, that's a totally different story. It's going to take a while to get out of this one. Coming off of Thika Road as well. The service lane is providing some reprieve for some time, but then sticking to the main highway, taking you to the Pangani underpass is going to take some time. Gara thumping with traffic. Use Wangari Maathai. It's a better way to get into the city now. Also, we see a lot of outbound traffic outside of the enemy, and so going towards Mamahu, that part of the road still quite packed. So we'll keep an eye on things. Check again in about half an hour and see what it looks like. Do that. SpiceFM KE on Twitter. Text on 40127.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Oko, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latif, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is The Situation Room.
It's 5
the only
past
way
9.
to start your
CT,
day.
Today's proverb.
A man does not go far from where his corn is roasting.
Yeah. Okay. You should add actually a wise man. Qualified. A wise man does not go far from where his corn is roasting. Stay right there. Stay with it until you move on. The headline in the Standard today:
I am done, Ruto says of Jubilee. Done like roasted maize.
Yes.
He's moving on. Hounded out of Jubilee and unable to salvage it, Deputy President William Ruto throws in the towel, says he won't quit, but will move on to build the United Democratic Alliance as an alternate party to shepherd his ambitions. And the quotes from him.
Pause right there.
What?
What's the quote? Then you
finish
can
the quote because misleading headline. What does "I am done" mean?
Wait now. Then his quote: Jubilee is badly damaged. Quote directly: the hemorrhage. It's unfortunate that there is nothing I could do about it. I want to promise the nation, there it is, that beautiful word that starts with P, that I want to build a national party that will bring people together.
So you're asking what "I am done" means?
Yeah, I'm through. I have no more to do with this, and I won't quit. So
what?
I'm done with this party, but I won't quit in my ambition. So that's why I'm forming another party.
I'm not going to fight to retain my position in this party. I'm not going to fight to see how we can revive this party or how we can invigorate this party or how we can prepare this party for the next general election. I'm not going to do any of those things. Okay? I am not. I'm going to focus my attention on a new outfit. Start it from scratch, build it from scratch, mold it very well so that now this new outfit does what this Jubilee has failed to do.
While I'm still in Jubilee.
Well, I'm still in Jubilee for now.
Really? And that doesn't present a contradiction of sorts.
What contradiction?
You know, when people say they are done, it amounts to saying, I am fed up, I've had enough, that's it.
That's no.
That's it. Out means you leave. Out doesn't mean I'm in and then I'm out at the same time. I'm inside the house, but I'm actually outside the house.
Out nature.
Yes. So, anyway, I'm nitpicking.
So the Deputy President basically says, this particular outfit will not work. I will form another outfit. No, not I'll form. There's another outfit that we are remodeling to deliver on the dreams and aspirations of Kenyans, not ours, of Kenyans. Building a national party that will bring people together. Those words, from that point, I want to build a national party that will bring people together. I'm sure, with slight variations, but using the same wording, the Deputy President has used this before. National party bringing people together. The Deputy President was a junior member, just like very many people in that era, who joined KNUT. It was the only party. He rose through the ranks. He was a senior member of KNUT by the time we were getting to 2002, 2003. The Deputy President left KNUT. ODM was formed, joined ODM. He was a senior member, one of the leading lights of ODM. What were they saying at that time when all of them were building ODM? We are bringing together like-minded people to build a national party that brings people together. I'm sure those words were used in various forms and variations. ODM, right? Brought people together. It was a new party in 2006. Come 2011 or 10, thereabouts, Deputy President is in URP, a party that has been formed, and he openly expresses support and is a senior, one of the leading lights in URP. What was it about? Bringing people together, making this a national party. They got into an alliance with TNA and they formed the Jubilee Alliance. And because of that Jubilee Alliance, they said, no, in fact, let's not have this many small. Let's bring people together, build a national party, call it Jubilee. Now we are building a national party that will bring people together, and we're calling it UDA. What's changing here?
Nothing. That's what I'm saying. That you can take it and you can put a different outfit on it, but the body still remains the same. There is nothing that is changing. Look, for me, what I want to hear, and I really think that what a lot of Kenyans want to hear right now, not even just want to hear, want to see, If you come to me and the bedrock of your promise is things that you have done that are of direct benefit to the country and the people, imagine, by all means, bring an orchestra and sing and perform for the next 12 months, it is okay. If you are telling me that this is my track record, that for the last 7-8 years, this is what I have done, and then by all means, I have every right to say, you know what, this party is not allowing me to continue the things that I've been doing for the good and benefit of this country. Let me move to another. I'll clap for you and we'll roll out the red carpet and say, yes, please. By all means, continue. But if I'm unable to see the things that you are saying you are being stopped from doing by still being a part of this party, you're being stopped from doing those things. The promise that you want to deliver Kenyans, to deliver to Kenyans, you're not allowed because you're being held by the tentacles of this party that you want to move to another one and do. And I've not been able to see what these things are. No.
And you're still in this party.
And you're still there. No. No. This thing of hoodwinking Kenyans has got, imagine, it's not good. As my mother would say, it's not good. As simple as that. Stop it. Because you want to sit on some platform and make Kenyans think that, because you're in this position, you can speak with authority. And meanwhile, there's nothing in what you're saying.
You know what I've come to believe
It's
over
a
time?
can and there's a nut in it and you're just shaking it and it's just making noise.
At some level, politicians actually believe these things they tell us.
And it baffles me that you can believe this thing that you're saying. These words tumbling out of your mouth, you actually believe them. I actually feel a little bit bad for you. That you can believe something like this and we can see the reality around us. Nothing is happening. And I'm going to say it until I'm blue in the face. If we can see the things that you have done and being shackled by this particular body is stopping you from continuing to do them, by all means, whine and complain and say, I cannot do this anymore. But I can't see. If you like, go and form 10 more. Change it the way you change your shirt. Change tomorrow. Change another one next week. Form another one. It means nothing. So stop it. Stop it. And it's not the only one, by the way.
But then what do you do?
Everybody else.
What do you do then? If you are in a political party, you are in a senior position, but then the opposition within the party pushes you out or stifles all the ideas that you bring into the party in terms of development, in terms of everything else. What do you do?
Which ones?
You quit the party, right?
Yes, quit.
You quit the party at the appropriate time. Of course, every politician is going to be calculating like that.
The appropriate time is just before a new election.
Yeah. Right? You go into this new formation that then you hope, because you are the one who's leading, you're going to be able to run with it. This is not unique. Well, the thing is, there are those democracies that have developed so much that there has been a dominance of political voices that have come together to be called political parties. But even in those democracies, you will see emergence of other smaller political parties. Those who are joining those parties are people who are disgruntled in the bigger party and they're coming to start smaller ones. We see this in Germany. We've seen this in France. We've seen this even in the UK with the other smaller parties that come up. All these guys have come from the bigger party. They feel... They go and they start.
They do.
And in some cases, people who are senior in one party, the current prime minister of Israel was a senior person in the Likud party. He left. He went into other parties and other parties. Now he's, one called what? What's it called? New Reign. What's it called? It's called the New Right.
Actually, I was about to say Ukweli party.
It's one of those, right? Benjamin Netanyahu, when he went to form the Likud party, he came from another party and he was a senior person in that party.
The uniqueness of political alignment speaks very much of the character or the personalities of the citizenry of that country. Germany, however, with the formation of their parties, it was deliberate so that they could never be, at least humanly speaking, any party that comes out as being dominant and can determine just what they want. It was constructed that way. And there are countries where, for instance, if you look at the UK and you look at America, for instance, same country really, just different location, you will find that the politics is dominated primarily by two parties. Literally dominated. The other parties you hear of, like in the UK, you'll hear of the Liberal Party, but that's it, you'll hear of the Liberal Party. The parties that dominate are Labour, and
Conservatives.
In America, it is Republicans and
Democrats.
Yes. They have many other parties. That's their political system. But you know something? When you talk about mature democracies, one of the things that makes them mature is that there are people who actually understand the rule of law and try to abide by it. And if you don't, there are usually consequences. And it honestly doesn't really matter. Those consequences will fall on your head. When you talk about a check and balance between the different arms of government, these people actually have it. If you talk about independent arms of government, they actually have it. But when you come then to our neck of the woods, somebody who has been in authority and has been in power, correctly, as I heard in that clip, the first term of office, many projects were started by the Jubilee government. It is true. Very many infrastructure projects were started, and they've continued even now. The road network continued. It is true.
Yeah.
Some of them are continuation of the previous. Our problem has never been those projects. It's the burden that those projects have placed on us because of the cost overruns. That really is the issue.
That's where our issue is.
Yes.
Is good management of the resources that we have.
Yes. So if you brought the projects, then you knew what they cost, and we cannot exonerate you from whatever happened thereafter with the management. We cannot. If fingers are being pointed at the executive, it points to the president and the deputy.
If you can claim credit, then you should also
come a 360 responsibility
for everything.
Yes.
Let's go to the phone lines. I've got two callers. Juma, good morning.
Good morning, Eric.
Good morning, Juma. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. CP, how are you?
Very well, thank you, sir. And how are you?
I'm okay, thank you. And Blue, have you turned blue yet?
Not yet. Not yet.
Okay, I would like to contribute to the conversation of leadership and the political parties.
Go ahead.
Yeah, because like you said, it's like a shirt, and this shirt is shared. Now, a shared shirt, we have different people who clean it, okay?
Yes.
Now, every time a single person cleans this shirt, it comes out dirty. What do we do there? If we need this shirt clean, we have an option of changing what? Changing the cleaner.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Now, in this party, you have tried to do something that you have used a particular party, but it's not working. What do? You don't form another party, but you change the person who is making you do the things that are not moving in that particular party. You can form 2 or 3, as Ndu said, you can form even 10 parties, but if you are still putting the same person who is ruining things in this other party, bringing them back into the other party, then you are doing nothing. There is nothing you will be doing. It's as simple as now you have the experience. You can use that experience to nurture someone clean, someone who doesn't have those things that are making the other parties. Nurture them and let them carry the bag on.
So if,
that's the only solution.
Juma, if we were to take it now into the direct context of what the Deputy President is saying, in terms of he is leaving Jubilee to go to UDA, what are you saying? That the Deputy President should be grooming somebody else?
Yes. Let nobody be there. The one who has been in Jubilee, and he has been part and parcel of the Jubilee Party for the 10 years. Let's forget about all of them, including the president, including the deputy president. Let's get a fresh person, and let them be there as advisors. Let them correct this person.
Yeah.
You are doing this. We tried it. It did not work. Can you try this? if they really need to save Kenya, let them be there as teachers, but not as the people in charge.
Okay, good points. Thank you very much, Juma.
Thank you.
Have a lovely
good
day. Asante.
Thank
Anthony in Mombasa, good morning.
Morning.
How are you?
Today I'm a bit sad from the discussion I'm hearing.
Why?
I believe this is a reaction from yesterday's interview from the Ruto's interview. Yes.
Yes, Ruto's interview on KTN News yesterday.
Yes, which was very wonderful. Nilikaa paka midnight.
Yeah, good.
Now, we are trying to change our politics, but unfortunately, we are reacting the same way people used to react when a politician talks. Why am I saying this? Yesterday, Ruto repeated words that we've heard so many years back. We want to form a new party. We need to revamp the economy, blah, blah, blah. What I was interested and I liked what Sophie did was when Ruto was asked, already the country is in debt, almost $1 trillion. And you're here saying that you want to put stimulus in certain areas for production. Yes. What will you do? Where will you get the money? He answered, because she asked, and what he said was he'll pick 200 billion from the development area and take it to wherever, So we should also ask, let us not just jump into conclusion. When Ruto says we need to form a new party and have political discipline, whatnot, you should ask, what is this that you're going to do different?
Yeah, from
because
what
it
you
is
did.
the same thing.
Yeah.
Yes, it is the same thing. But let us also not turn a blind eye to our normal politics. Uhuru Kenyatta is not the chairman of Jubilee. He's the party leader.
Yeah.
That position was not created just by choice. ODM, Raila Odinga, is the party leader. What does that mean?
He's the owner.
He dictates what happens in the party.
Yeah.
So, regardless of we need to sit down, form a PhD, blah, blah, blah.
Oh, we've lost him. It's okay, we'll hear from you. Ali, also in Mombasa. Good morning.
Yes, sir.
How are you, Ali?
Fine, and you all?
Fine, thank you.
I'm saying first, I'm very happy with the station, the SpiceFM, particularly the Situation Room, and the other one when we played Record Rambo.
Right, Spice Drive.
I will start with the proverb Yawaze. When they say, nyani ni wale wale, msitu wamebadilisha. The second thing is to ask the electorate. Nini kinafanya sisi tuwakubali wao? Kwa sababu sisi we don't think beyond our nose, or we don't see beyond our nose. A party has to have a policy. All these parties that they say it will be uniting Kenyans na nini, did they have policies? If they had the policies, did they implement those policies?
Yeah.
It's when you are going to ask those questions, kwa nini mnatengeza party mpya when the policy of the other party that you want to dismantle were good? Why don't you implement those policies and we will see Kenya going ahead?
That's very
but
true.
We never ask for policies. We ask for a new party or a new saying, and then we have monkeys in a different forest.
Right.
That is my contribution, Eric, and whoever. Thank you very
much, Ali. Thank you. Have a lovely day. Karanja in Naivasha, good morning.
Good morning, Eric.
How about you?
And the city.
Good morning, Karanja.
Yes, do happy birthday, do happy birthday, do happy birthday, do Happy birthday to you.
Asante sana, thank you.
Okay, now, first of all, let me start with what happened in Malaysia here. And don't be gagged by those unscrupulous hotel practices who practice here, especially right now when there is a bumper harvest in Malaysia. Most of the hotels in Malaysia here, they have decided to collude with others unscrupulous businessmen and women. Where you come, you arrange the hotel, as they come, they take you elsewhere. Okay. Having said so, let me go back to the straightforward to the point.
Okay.
I think the statement which was echoed by the UDA leader, to me it is out an inflammatory statement. The fact is, the ODM leader had been asking, where has these millions every day in the church, every Sunday in the church, where do these millions come, my friend? Ask yourself, where do these millions come from? If you are saying you have not done what the leader of Jubilee have not done, so do you want to tell us when you come in power, you are going to do better than what you have done all those years?
When you're also in power.
You're also in power.
When you are also in power.
Yeah.
Okay. Come to when there was TNA and URP nominations. We see the person who was behind all this. Let me tell you, my friend, if you don't know right now, Uhuru Kenyatta government is in a coup. The reason is somebody sponsored MPs, somebody sponsored the CSS, almost 3/4 of the government belongs to the UDA. You see what happens in Kiabu. About 12 MPs from, including the women reps and the senators, 9 of them they are in
They have
UDA.
trooped back into UDA because they owe their allegiance to the person who helped them secure the seat. That's what you're saying.
Exactly, yes. And they manipulated, including the nominations which were held in Jubilee Party. This is what he knew. He will help him to move to another angle of level. Now you see, so it's better that we choose somebody who is diligent, somebody who is ready to run for this country. Because let us forget about the UDA, let us forget for any party. You come there, Eric, have a seat, we shall elect you and give you the seat of the presidency.
Sawa.
But then there is, yes, it's something that let us get rid of these shenanigans. That they come here, they tell us we are going to, when 100 days of presidency, Deputy William Ruto elected president, we shall do this and this. These are all shenanigans. These are all tautologies.
Thank you very much,
yes.
Karanja.
Thank you very much.
Hiya. Zachary in Nakuru, good morning.
Oh, good morning to everyone there.
Good morning.
Good morning.
A happy birthday to our lady there, Du Oko.
Thank
Happy
you,
birthday.
Zachary. Asante.
Thank you and welcome and feel at home.
Thank you.
Now, thank you. Mr. Elliot.
Yes.
This is a time for each and every individual to introspect and ask himself or herself, what did I do wrong yesterday that is making me to suffer? And we must inspect, we must invest in getting the answer. And this is the idea. For me to be able to align myself with the SpiceFM, I had to ask questions. What are they presenting to me? How am I benefiting? And the answer was found, and I invest a lot. In fact, right now I have spent almost 100 waiting for me to raise my point, yeah? Every good thing comes with
a cost.
Sure.
There is a cost. And it is up to me now to decide how am I going to actually bear the burden of, paying for this that I want, yeah?
Yes.
Whoever may come and try to present to us himself or herself as a candidate, do we have time to ask ourselves, who is this person? Who is Eric? Who is Du? Who is Warim Andrew? What did he do 10 years ago? And from that, we shall get a very clear answer that this person, even if he's telling me that yesterday he met Jesus, it is a continuation of his lies.
Yep.
And therefore, I do not have time to believe him.
Listen, yes.
Do you understand?
Yep.
The idea is, okay, I may say that as from tomorrow I'm going to bring piped milk to every household that is near me, okay?
Did you say
But
piped
then,
milk?
What other lies have I told to
before?
These people,
Exactly.
10 years or 5 years ago, so that they are going to believe in me, okay?
Yeah.
And I may change my words to fit your ears, okay? But actually, I may not be able to change my character.
Character is the same.
Character is the same.
Thank you.
And therefore, let people not be cheated. Who is Eric? What did he do 10 or 15 years ago? And that is the thing that I wanted to say. Thank you and have a nice day.
You too, Zachary. Amani, good morning.
Good morning. How's the team?
Good.
Fine,
We're
thank
fine,
you.
thank you.
Happy birthday to Happy birthday to Happy birthday to Happy birthday to you. Yay!
Thank you, Amani.
Okay. So if I may contribute, as far as I'm concerned in Kenya, we do not have any national parties at all. That is just a ruse to cheat people, to deceive them, that we're nationalists when we're not. To the point, to confirm that point rather, that between the last 3 weeks, Uhuru himself told the people you were speaking to, which was all the leaders who were gathered together, that, we are tribalists, including himself. Those were his words. Okay? So there is no national party, so let Ruto not cheat us. Yeah? We also know that when he was very much in the government, you can see how the top positions almost anywhere across the board were divided between those two tribes at the top. And up to this day, anybody can check any ledger in terms of appointments, and they'll see that it's all there. So we are tribalists, so let's not pretend. Now, because we are tribalists, what I would propose is this, that we need not very big parties, but we need sizable parties, meaning we need to have coalitions. Because the coalitions, what they do, they create a balance of power. You have to negotiate things.
Yep.
It's not a walkover.
Yep.
The moment, Ruto gave up his party so that become Jubilee, that's the moment he signed his death warrant. It was very clear to me that moment. I said, why did he do this? And not only him, all the other parties. They signed their death warrants. They hammered the coffin in totally and sealed themselves because now they gave all the power. They gave all the power to Uhuru.
And now they can cry.
And yes. So we don't need those kinds of
so what
arrangements.
you're saying is we don't need national political parties. What we should be gunning for is those alliances, strong alliances, and an easy way of getting into and out of an alliance as well. Because also it becomes very difficult to get out of alliances.
It doesn't have to be difficult because you have to hammer out the agreement. Yeah, so as long as the agreement is hammered out properly within the law, it should be relatively easy to get out of it.
Just come
Yeah,
on.
without these games being played. However, I don't have anything against national parties if they're truly national. But we're not there, so let's stop pretending. Let's have strong alliances. Yeah, we're not. Let's have strong alliances, strong coalitions. Yeah, and believe me, you'll have a balance of power. The other thing we must put in place, is the Article 104, meaning we have to legislate to enact laws about it. Because if you do not have the power to hire and fire, you're wasting time.
Yeah.
People will go in and do exactly as they please. But when you have the power of the stick, the Bible talks about spare the rod, spoil the child. It remains relevant even for adults. If you don't have that rod to discipline people, you're going to have the mayhem we have in Kenya. The lawlessness, the carelessness, they don't care.
Yeah.
What are you going to do about it? I don't care. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Amani.
Thank you and cheers. Bye.
Cheers. Have a lovely day. 25 minutes to 10. Let's take a break and take a look at traffic and weather, how it's looking like. The roads heading towards Naivasha, where the Safari Rally is taking place this weekend. As we do that, The Ministry of Health would like to remind you what to do to prevent malaria, including sleeping under a net that was a treated net, spraying insecticide at home, spraying on windows and screening the windows, ensuring pregnant women are getting tested and they receive the malaria vaccine early. In addition to prevention, it's important to remember that malaria is still treatable. So we can do a lot to prevent malaria, to ensure that we don't prevent malaria. And as we continue these conversations, even in coming days, we'll be asking ourselves, so what is thing that people apply? What spraying in the room, in the house? How efficacious is it? And what does it do to help you and to protect you against malaria? Good morning. Let's take a break.
(24/7) around the world, non-stop. This is Spice FM.
Samsung Galaxy just got more awesome. Introducing the new A32, A52 and A72. These awesome devices boast an awesome screen for your larger-than-life views and for you to maximize your viewing pleasure on your favorite content. An awesome camera for awesome, clearer, brighter, sharper pics. And an awesome battery that lasts all day long. Get to your nearest Samsung store or authorized retailer today. The new Galaxy A series. Awesome is for everyone. T's and C's apply.
Je, una dalili zifuatazo? Joto jingi mwilini, kutetemeka, kuhara, kutapika, kuumwa na kichwa, baridi na homa. Basi unahitaji kutembelea kituo cha afya haraka ili kupimwa iwapo kuna maradhi ya malaria na kupokea matibabu halisi. Tafadhali hakikisha wewe na jamii yako mnapimwa mnapohisi dalili za malaria, na iwapo malaria itapatikana, mhudumu wa afya atakupa dawa zilizopendekezwa ziitwazo ACT. Hakikisha unameza dawa hizo inavyohitajika hadi ukamilishe. Kumbuka, sio salama kujitibu nyumbani kwa sababu dalili za malaria ni sawa na zile za maradhi mengine. Endelea kujikinga na kukinga jamii yako kwa kulala ndani ya neti za mbu zilizotibiwa kila siku, kila msimu. Pamoja, tuendelee kuangamiza malaria. Ujumbe huu umeletwa kwako na Wizara ya Afya na UNICEF.
24/7 around the world, non-stop. This is Spice FM.
Living isn't just breathing. Living is about taking it all in. Living is not just getting by. Living is taking the roads less traveled. Living isn't just eating. Living is about the art of wining and dining. Living isn't just doing the mundane. Living is about savoring the finer things in life. Because living is not a chore. Living is an art. In the new season of The Art of Living, we explore unearthed gems and discover what makes them home away from home. Join Nailante Kenga as she engages with exciting guests and tours the most exclusive destinations and homes every Sunday, 6 p.m. on KTN Home.
24/7 around the world, non-stop. This is Spice FM.
Losing a loved one is never easy. The lingering memories, the what-ifs, but in all the gloom, we find ways of celebrating them. And here at the Standard Tributes, we aim to give your loved ones that befitting send-off. Visit www.standardmedia.co.ke/tributes today and post your loved one's tribute. In addition, get access to funeral services from our trusted vendors. The Standard Tributes. Keeping memories alive.
All right. Mostly cloudy conditions at 16 in Nairobi. Highs of 23 today. Highs of 19 in Nyeri. Cloudy at 15. Mostly sunny conditions at 17. Highs of 25. Highs of 23 with mostly cloudy conditions in Eldoret at 16. We'll see 24 and haze over Kisumu. Highs of 27. 26 will be the high in Kakamega. And we will see lows of 15. Light rain at 26 in Mombasa, highs of 29. 27 the high in Malindi, light rain also. And 22 and cloudy in Kampala. Mostly sunny conditions at 26, going to highs of 29 in Dar es Salaam. 19 the high in Johannesburg. 30 will be the high in Lagos today. And we're looking at highs of 31 and a partly sunny Kinshasa. 27 and hazy in Beijing. At 27, it'll go to highs of 29. 21 will be the high in Paris. It's sunny at 14 and cloudy conditions at 15 in London with highs of 19. 26 will be the high in New York. It's cloudy at 19.
Spice FM, Nakuru. Spice up your life.
All right, we're still looking at that traffic situation outside of the city. Not too bad right now, though. Piling up, though, and we're going to see that for some time today. Mombasa Road looking a lot better, and Thika Road also. This shouldn't be too bad as you're going out of the city. But then coming inbound on Mombasa Road, it looks like it's going to be this way for some time. A few minutes more with the drama. But we're looking at open roads now. Thika Road coming into the city, much better than as you approach the Thika Superhighway, and it'll look better then through the day. Talk to us through the day should you need to. SpiceFM KE on Twitter. Text on 40127.
Sugar and spice and everything nice. Spice FM.
Spice up your mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
To 10 o'clock, Kenya's biggest conversation continues. We'll be looking at the plight of healthcare workers around the country, especially now we know that they are the frontline workers in the fight against COVID-19. Conversations that we have heard with doctors, nurses, clinical officers during this period, and whether they get the protection that they require, whether they're getting paid on time, whether they get the medical cover that they need, do they have proper and adequate insurance. Conversations we'll be having with the Secretary General of the Kenya Medical Practitioners, Dentists and Pharmacists Union. As we do that, let's still continue with the conversation on political parties and the strength of political parties and whether the political parties are, what Amani was saying, do we really have the capacity to build one national political party? Or is it still going to be, it's a national political party in its outlook, but there is a dominant tribe or community in the party, which means it is tribe A and then others.
Yes, that is the model of our political parties. And I personally don't see anything wrong with it. Because if you're talking about the political structure of what we have in this country, before you get even to the presidential, it's not even regional, my friend. It is village. If you get granular, it's that basic. And the moment you talk of that denominator, you're talking about a village, you're talking about a tribe, a community within that tribe. And then it moves out. So if one hopes to ascend to a position of some authority beyond the boundaries of their community, you start with your community first. If your community doesn't approve of you, there is no way you're going to go beyond your community in your political pursuits. So if you have a party, are you going to have a party that has people whose support you cannot rely on, and usually it's your community because that's where politicians get their strength from? Or are you going to be discussing this amorphous national party which has everybody else and does not guarantee you the support you need to ascend to where you want to go?
So what you're saying is, in the context of our political parties and our political issues,
yes,
the policies and the leanings of political party are tribal.
Yes. In fact, I'm actually saying
others look at, we are right wing, we are left wing, we stand for this.
They're also tribal.
That's the tribe.
They're also tribal. If you look at the basic tenets of political parties in the West, they are tribal because Their tribe is interest. Somebody who focuses. And look at the genesis of those political parties. How they started and what. Remember, what we refer to as multi-party democracy, if you look at the West, let's talk about old monarchies, because that's where all these things started. Long before even colonization, just countries that were ruled by kings. It's when the citizens figured out, you know something, this kingship thing isn't working for us. We need to be represented. This thing of this guy deciding because he's telling us that God is the one who appointed him. No. We need to have a say. It began from that point of view and it progressed. Now, what am I saying? I am saying what we are seeing is us progressing. Why do you think, for instance, in the UK, you still have parts of the United Kingdom still looking for self-determination, the complete form? You're talking Scotland, still looking for it? You're talking about Ireland, still looking for it? Why are these issues still there? And even now with Brexit, you find even part of the UK like Wales, there are lots of talks about self-determination. Those are tribes, just in case someone didn't know.
It's all tribal.
They are tribes.
Okay.
To understand it, go to the US. If you look at the political party and the dominance of those parties, you will find that the Anglophiles, who for a long time were dominant, and for the longest time in the US, it was said no Catholic could become president of the United States. Kennedy broke that particular mold. Just like in Kenya, it was said, the presidential motorcade cannot pass the Chania River. It did. All those communities that form what we call America, my friend, it's a mixture of diversities, whether they are European in origin, whether they're Eastern European in origin, whether they're Asian in origin, African in origin. And if you look at the way they go about their business, whether they're Latino in origin, it's tribal. Yes.
Back to the phone lines. Enoch in Kiambu, good morning.
Good morning to you, Eric.
How are you?
Very well. Yeah, I've listened to you guys, and I think we are making some progress somehow, but we are not there. City.
Yes, sir.
I've listened to you. When you is it that you want to justify whatever is done in West is whether it's tribal or is the right thing to do?
No, I'm saying human beings are tribal. That's really what I'm saying.
Can we change that?
We can try, but we actually won't. Ethnicity.
So what do we want to change it to?
We can change it to anything else. A change, unless we are afraid of the change. But I think if a group comes together or a certain either youth comes together, regardless of where they come from, they can form a movement like what we saw in Egypt, if I'm not wrong. I think it was a movement of almost all the people who are against certain ideology or way, of thinking. And I think it can also be done. And if something is wrong is done somewhere else, it doesn't mean that we cannot change that. And we still need to keep on doing the same thing.
Enoch, let me ask
or we copy from the other. Yes.
In this country, have you seen any demonstrable desire by the people to change that thinking? Our political organization. So that you can now say that people won't change, but there's some forces that are resisting that change.
That's true. And that change is opposed from all corners anyway. And the NAC, I think it was actually the way it was organized. It actually included everybody.
The National Rainbow Coalition.
And if we can have such organization, I think we'll have the right. We'll be on the right track.
The National Rainbow Coalition.
Tanzania.
The National Rainbow Coalition. Go ahead.
Tanzania, the way they have organized, like the CCM, are they tribal?
It's one big party.
It's one big party, and if we can find a way to have one big party, I think that's the way to go. But we demonize, and we want to say we have to live in these tribal cocoons, so long as they are serving our interests.
Okay.
And we media houses, we have interest on this, or our masters, either they have also interest in what we are saying, and we are propagating this as if it's the gospel truth. It's not.
All right. Change is possible. Thank you very much, Enoch.
Okay, bye-bye.
Good day. Kuria in Nyeri, good morning.
Morning, how are you?
Fine, thanks.
Now, maybe I would like to ask a question to Mwalimu one day.
Ask him.
Maybe why are political parties made or registered? Why does a person register a political party? Or, why do someone register a political party?
Because they have a political agenda.
Good. And I will give either it is based on ideologies, or it is made there, or he has just registered that party to propel him or her to power.
Ideology is just a tool. Usually, there's something they hope to achieve by it. They're somewhat altruistic and actually start by genuinely meaning what they say. They want to see change. And somewhere along the line, some of these things alter, as we well know. But many politicians begin with a genuine need to actually want to bring about change.
Assuming it is a genuine need to actually have the change, that is why there was free basic education without hitch or corruption during Kibaki's era. That is why businesses were very good and actually they woke up, literally waking up from the bed during Kibaki's era. But then, if a political party is made for Kuria to get into power, that is why you will have a tannery that is built on a swamp, only for them to realize it was built on a swamp. My second and last issue. Maybe I would love to argue it with our basic language, that is Kiswahili.
Please go ahead.
When we go to vote, there are the requirements that we need. You need yourself as a person.
Yep.
You need the ID card.
Yep.
And you need the voter's card. Mimi hapo ndipo niko na shida, Eric. Unajua mbona? Mimi naonanga ni kama ID card tunakuanga tumebeba. Voters card tumebeba.
Lakini sisi hatujajibeba.
Akili tumeacha kwa nyumba, my friend. Have a good weekend.
Kikuria. That's an interesting one. So ID and voters card are taken to the polling center, but the person who should be going to the polling center is still sleeping at home. It's just a shell. John in Nyandarua, good morning.
Yeah, good morning, City, and everyone there.
Good morning.
Morning, sir.
And congratulations for the birthday of Duo.
Asante sana, John.
Asante sana. Now, going straight to the point, let me say that constitutionally, Kenya is a tribalistic nation. We have already tribalized our country constitutionally.
How?
Because when we brought in devolution, we institutionalized tribalism. Just tell me to go and contest governorship in Kisumu. Can I be elected? I cannot be elected because I'm a Kikuyu. Tell Anyeng Nyong'o to come and contest the governorship for Nyandarua. We will not elect him because he's a Luo. Automatically, we are a tribalistic country. Go to the reasons that led to people like Honorable Amushamba going to UDA recently. They cited that they are going there because of the proposed marriage between Jubilee and ODM, simply because they just can't vote for Odinga. That is tribalism. Having said that, our political parties are tribalistic in nature. And until the day we shall come with a constitutional proposal of limiting how many parties we should have, we shall never have nationalist party.
But let me ask you, John, the same thing that CT was saying, which is what Amani was arguing earlier. What is wrong with having those political parties that are tribalistic, but then you have alliances? You know that this political party, yes, it's dominated by the Kikuyu, but with only the Kikuyu support, it will not be able to win leadership of the country in terms of winning the presidency and having a majority and a sizable number of members of parliament. So you shall go and form alliances with other parties which are dominated by the Kamba, like the Wiper, dominated by the Luo, like ODM, dominated by... That is what we see already.
Exactly. That is what we see, and that is what we have been seeing. So there's nothing new that is coming up. It is just tribal alliances. And what I want to say is we should have a policy where we should limit the registration of political parties in this country if we want to have a cohesive political atmosphere, an atmosphere that is inclusive for all. If we can manage to have two political parties, then tribalism would be a thing of the past. Because when we
parties.
had KNUT,
John,
yeah,
sorry,
yeah,
two. You say
yeah,
two, but I'm thinking
limit the number of
limit
political
the number,
parties.
right? So that it's almost as though you're forcing them to be issue and policy bound, right?
Exactly.
So they're not looking at where you're from, but really what it is that you want to do as far as the country is concerned. So then you eliminate all this other nonsense that we're being given right now.
Yeah, exactly. The nonsense that we are seeing now.
But you deny people choice.
Yeah?
We deny people choice.
Now,
if for example, you have only two parties, let's say you have only Jubilee and ODM as a political parties, Jubilee is dominated by people that you cannot control.
Exactly.
ODM is dominated by people that you cannot control, and you want to have an alternative voice. And the constitution and the law bars you from joining any other party. That is like taking us to the single party state.
No, we should have two, and at the same time you have the right to contest as an independent, the way America is today. Because Americans have two big political parties.
Yep, but
And
they
you
have
can
others.
choose any of the two and either go for an independent candidacy. And you know, that country is very cohesive politically.
Okay.
But when we come here, this party belongs to this politician of this tribe. I mean, it is all nonsense.
Thank
Now
you,
we have a slogan that is saying that the next government will be formed by Mama Mboga and Boda Boda person. Just tell me, do you expect a Boda Boda character to be in government? If those guys win, you never see them again.
To be lies.
Yes, they are all lies.
Thank you, John.
Mama Mboga in government. It's all, yeah.
Have a lovely week. Have a lovely weekend.
You too.
Have a lovely weekend. Thank you very much. We have Yegon on the line. Yegon, let's just say hello to you, and then because we are actually out of time. Hi, Yegon.
Yes. Good morning, Eric, City, and Duoko.
Good morning.
Okay, I did not join you today because I have been driving from Nandi to this 4. And now I'm heading to somewhere called Ngoliba.
In Ngoliba.
Ngoliba is between Majagos and Kiambu County. So, okay, allow me just 2 seconds to pose a question to Kenyans. Why are they hypocrites? Because when you find a follower of Raila Odinga, he says that he's following Baba because he has ideologies, not the party. Whichever the party Baba goes,
he goes with him.
He goes with him. Same to William Ruto and other party leaders. But when it comes to electing now an MP, an MCA, or senator, for example, I am now standing for MCA in my ward in Nandi. So the guy, my voters will tell me, if it is not UDA, we can't vote you. Come on, Ekano, and...
Good questions. We'll continue the conversation next week. Have a lovely weekend and safe trip, Yagon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
City, close the week again with the day's proverb.
A man does not go far from where his corn is roasting.
Chunga mali yako.
Hata kama ni chama yenu, chunga.
Don't start roasting some other corn.
Don't start voting for some other party which is not yours.
Don't go and eat outside and then come and say the place is yours.
So chomeni hiyo.
Have a lovely weekend, folks. We'll see you again on Monday. CT will take some few days off to go and do some R&R. Okay. You enjoy your R&R.
I will.
All right. See you guys It's now 10 o'clock.